Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of live stream reviews from StreamYard. My name is Christian Karasevich. I'm the content marketing manager at StreamYard, and I'm so excited for you to be joining us again. So I'm joined by my colleague, Letitia Campbell. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her on, but I just remember, this show is all about you. So for example, if you have specific questions about your live stream, let us know. If you have, maybe a challenge, like we want to help you work through those challenges. That's the whole point of this. It's to get you improving your streams, making them better, doing what you can to again, remember, live streaming is not just about oh, I have the best graphics or the best intro video. Those are elements, but it still comes down to the content and what you're presenting to your viewers. And so we want to help you. So if you have questions, feel free to do us a favor and leave those in the comments. And then what I'll do also is I will put the link to join me backstage. Actually, I'll go ahead and do that right now. I'll go ahead and put the link here in the comments. If you have a specific question, just join us backstage. Very simple. So if you have a question, just join us here. My only ask. So basically, who you are, what your business is about, and then what your question is. And let's try to keep it to 2 to 3 questions. If you have a long list, I'll come back to them. So if you're like, hey, here's my first 2 questions, and then we get through everyone else, I'm happy to bring you back or go back to your questions. So definitely want to do that. And then in addition to that, again, remember, this is all about you. So I want to have you also have your camera open, so this way you're there talking with us and people can see you and they can learn more about you, and we can maybe offer some tips and things like that. So I'm going to go and bring on Letitia. Letitia, great having you back again for episode 4.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here.
So I know you and I talked beforehand. I know we had, and I know this is about reviews. So it's about having people, if they have questions, having them, bring those to us. If they're feature requests, you can give me feature requests. I'll make a note while we're doing the show. But if it's a question, for example, you and I talked about how do I name my live show, or what's my name that I should be using? That's a really good question, actually. So, if you're like, hey, I have a live show and you have a name, or you've been kind of not sure what name to use, join us backstage. We want to bring you, put you on the stream and have you talk about what your show is, and also talk about what kind of maybe what your name of your show is and why you're struggling with it and so forth. So definitely let us know. By the way, Hugo Eagle Fang, I see. I don't know if you're a troll, or I don't know if you're a real person, but you're saying hey, StreamYard didn't work. Definitely let me know, what was it that didn't work for you? Because I know we've got a lot of people that use the platform. I personally was using it well before I joined StreamYard. And, the one thing that really stuck out to me was just the reliability and the ease of use. I was broadcasting from around the world, and I always struggled when I used a bunch of other platforms. I struggled with getting them to actually work and I was in a lot of remote locations, and I was still able to use StreamYard, and it amazed me. And I was like, it made it so much easier. It was less stressful. So yeah, if you have any, a specific issue or something, let us know. But
yeah, for me, it helped me totally engage more with my audience, because you can, again, put the comments on the screen, make it super interactive, so people feel like they're part of the show. They're just not watching the show, they're part of it. But yeah, if anyone's having issues with it, we're always here to help.
And, and here's the other thing people have to remember. I mean, sometimes what will happen is, for example, I know we had an issue, I think over the last couple of days, it was a Google Chrome issue. So it's a matter of the fix was hey, I have to go into Google Chrome, and there's a hardware adjustment you have to use. And it's because most people don't have it turned on. So it's like their camera, for example, wasn't working, and the fix was they have to go into Chrome settings and add the hardware acceleration turned on. So again, that's not an issue with the software. That's an issue with, for example, how Google Chrome, for example, might be using things. So
and it could be a hardware issue. All I had to do was buy a cord, and bam, my sound was better. So
no, exactly. So and the other thing is, when you're doing live video versus pre-recorded, just remember, live video versus pre-recorded. A lot of people, it comes down to the material you're presenting. So if you want to be able to edit the content, then use a pre-recorded video. But if you're, a lot of people, they go live, and if you watch any sort of news show, it's all scripted out. it's scripted out, it's planned out, it's rehearsed, so that when they do go live, they're in the perfect set.
Yes.
And if something happens, let's say somebody's mic cuts out, that's part of the show.
Yep.
So you either have a backup or you go to something else or whatnot. So,
right.
So do us a favor, tell us where you're from. We'd love, we'd definitely love to know where you're tuning in from or where you broadcast from. That would be awesome. And also, if you have a question, drop it in the comments, and be sure you hit that like button and subscribe button as well, so that you get notified every time we go live. I know we've got a lot of really good videos, or a lot of things we're really working on. So we want to make sure that those, that you get notified.
Yeah, so, I binge watch this channel. Like, you don't understand. I got I have my Bluetooth headphones on, and I'll be watching. Yes.
Very cool. So we have somebody who says, Letitia, your video is amazingly clean. Are you using a special camera?
Logitech. I've been using Logitech for, I'm not even going to lie, I've been using Logitech for over 10 years. Yeah. I had one camera originally that I purchased. It lasts almost a decade. And then I just got this new one last year. They're the best for me. I love them. And the only difference is, I'm just going to be honest, is that sometimes the sound can sound very like you're in the basement. So this is why I got the mic and all that stuff. But I love, and I'm not an affiliate of Logitech at all. I just love it.
And just a couple of points, by the way, about Logitech overall, or webcams, I guess. So a couple of things. If you have a webcam, and you've got the built-in webcam on your laptop and you're just getting started with live streaming, go ahead and use that. But you can easily upgrade to like the $60 like C920 or 922. You can get either of those. Those are good starter webcams. And then you can upgrade to something like the Logitech Brio. That's actually what I use sometimes. I've recently upgraded to a mirrorless DSLR. So the reason I did that was because now it allows me to use a switcher versus using a webcam, which can't work with a switcher. So some trade-offs,
you're not on the screen, Christian.
Yeah, I know I'm not. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Nope. I'm all aware of that. So.
Thank you. Oh yeah, you wanted to show the quality. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, I really like this camera.
So by the way, if you have questions, do me a favor, just drop them in the comments. And I'm going to send you the link here as well. If you join us backstage, bring your questions. We want to have you on. We want to feature you. So while we're doing that, Letitia, let's kind of talk about what we talked about earlier about what we wanted to talk about, and that was naming a show.
Yes.
So what do you? Let's talk about that. Why is it important to name a show?
It is important. I know that our first episode of the show, a gentleman, I guess, came on and mentioned that he has different types of shows he wants to do, but he puts it all on one channel. And you gave amazing advice that sometimes we mess with our algorithms like that, where YouTube and Facebook really doesn't know who to bring to us, because we're talking about 50 different things. So it's really good for us to have like actual show topic, actual show name that represents what it is that we want to discuss, the message, and able to separate all that amongst the platforms instead of dumping all on one page. So for me, when I think of a show topic, I really think of the overall theme or the overall message I want to convey out there to my audience. So I have a show called Sister Connection Talk Show, and that we go into more deep topics that that women are struggling with in the world of business. I have my Successpreneur Chat Show, and that mostly I talk about email marketing. I have a Success Spotlight Show where I feature my clients. So it's like each show has its own position. To where, and I was that girl in the beginning that talked about everything in a 1 hour skit, and it just got everybody confused, and it was way too much work for me. So, thinking of a great show topic or show title, as we say, is definitely important. And you may change it. And I was telling somebody this the other day, you may go with one title, and then you may say, well, I don't really like that. Let me change it. Try it out, see how it sticks. No,
definitely. And Jaden, by the way, we're going to bring you on here in a second. If you can open your webcam, that'd be ideal. But so we'll bring you in here. I posed a question just a second ago. What's the name of your show, and how did you come up with it? For example, like I run a show, it's called Social Chatter. And it's a longest social media marketing news talk show out there. And I came up with it because I started with Blab, actually, like when they initially started. And I said, you know what, hey, we're going to talk about the news, what's new in social media each week. And so I came up with that, my hashtag for the show, hashtag social chatter. Again, I mean, like, it fits with what I'm talking about. I don't put my name on there. I'm not necessarily branded on it, but I'm how can I say I'm a guest? What's the word? Well, I'm the founder of it, but I'm also I have a co-host as well. So this way we can also leverage our personal channels as well.
Exactly.
So some stuff to keep in mind. Okay, so look, yeah, let's talk. Let me look through these questions real quick, and then I got a couple.
Yeah, we get a lot of questions here. And guys, type in hashtag ask. Type in hashtag ask before the question, so it could be easier for us to find.
There you go. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Let's start with some of these questions. So David's eCafe says, I use hashtags in my titles and change them using mods. Okay, so can you kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you right now, if you're using hashtags in your title, remember, if it's YouTube, YouTube has the ability to have 3 hashtags that they will put above your title of your video. So they pull these from the description and whatnot. Now they only pick 3. So if you put in 4 and you want like 1, 2, and 4, for example, as your primary hashtags, you need to get rid of the other one. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind. The other thing also is these hashtags now are also being added to what they're calling a hashtag showcase page. And so the showcase page is basically showing you what the hashtag looks like. Did we demo this last time? I'm not sure.
No, you demoed it on your other show. I really think you should show it here if you can. So when I actually found that out from Christian, and so what I did was I went into like my last 20 YouTube videos and I changed the hashtags to be put in the description. So now I use hashtag Camel Success Network, hashtag email marketing, and I forgot the third one, but those 3 show up. I don't have to put it in the title anymore. Because we only put a certain amount of characters in the title anyway. So why would you put a hashtag there? It's going to take up too much space. But yeah, I think you should definitely show that. And I love how you mentioned that. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, all good. I'm going to bring this up. Let's see. I think.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to bring this up. So this, for example, is my hashtag. So it's my show hashtag. And as you can see, I mean, there's quite a few here. They're all mine, obviously. But then what you'll see here, except for this one, basically. So again, I have to kind of look at that one. But this is basically what it is. So it's youtube.com/hashtag/ whatever the hashtag is. So Letitia, do you have an example of maybe a hashtag we could put in to see what's there?
Okay. So like hashtag email marketing or hashtag email marketing hacks.
Okay. So this is one thing we want to talk about real quick. So if you're going to use hashtags, so email marketing hacks, sorry. So the way this works is if you're going to use hashtags in your YouTube videos. So the first thing is you want to narrow it down to 3. Now, what I would say is this: I would not pick 3 very, very, very broad hashtags. Here's the reason why. So I'm going to look this up: youtube.com/hashtag/ whatever the actual hashtag is. By the way, do me a favor. Can you keep an eye on the comments while I'm
yeah, they're saying they're not seeing what you're showing, but I think you're going to show it in just a second.
Yeah, let me pull that up. Yes.
Yeah.
Good. That's a very good question, actually. So okay, so here we go. So this, for example, is my hashtag. And as you can see here, I primarily own this for the most part. There's a handful of other videos that are also using that hashtag. But again, they may maybe have a purpose. I'm not really sure. I mean, I've been doing my show for like, what, about 7 years now, I think. Yeah. So something to keep in mind is that. So now Letitia said like, hey, email marketing hacks, right? So I'm going to put in email marketing hacks. So now here's what comes up for this. And hopefully, I think, yeah, you guys can see this. So the way this works is, as you can see, I mean, there's less than 100 videos. Obviously, there's only 4. So this might be a viable hashtag to use, because as you can see, this one's got no views. This has 25 views, 24 and 13 views. So you got small numbers of views on your videos. So if that's a video you want to make and you want to put that hashtag in there, good opportunity to potentially get in there. I'm going to use the example of email marketing. And the reason I'm going to do this is because it's going to be probably massive. Okay. So here's what's going to show up for email marketing. There's 3,200 channels alone using this hashtag. And there's about 8,100 videos. So for you to actually get surfaced in this, it's going to be pretty hard. The one thing I would definitely say that you can do, though, which is really good, this is a good learning opportunity.
Yeah.
So if you're just starting your YouTube videos or maybe you've already done them and you haven't actually spent the time creating the thumbnail, this is a great way to actually get an idea of what kind of thumbnail to make. So for example, I mean, as you can see, they all look virtually the same. It's like person, different person, different person. You know, it's virtually the same thumbnail if you think about it. So one thing you're going to want to do is, you know, I think you're going to have to like try to stand out. Yeah. Maybe make something that's a little different because as you can see, I mean, it's a bunch of the same people and everybody's thumbnail, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
But yeah,
when I typed in email marketing hacks, I didn't see. When I did it, only one person was showing up, one channel. I mean, but yeah, that's why I was like, oh, let me use hacks too. But I get what you're saying. The email marketing one is very broad. I have to really do a little bit more with the thumbnail.
Definitely. By the way, Jaden, if you were, I know you're waiting backstage. I think you just dropped out again. You had a question about monetizing your channel. Do me a favor, just join us here backstage.
Yeah, join us on in.
Okay, so let me go through some of these questions. So as far as picking a title, the first thing is you don't necessarily need to use your title in all of your YouTube video titles. So what I would do instead is I would set up a playlist on YouTube. And then as you're making live videos, you put them into a specific playlist. And then on the front of your YouTube channel, on the homepage, you can customize the layout. You can remove like your latest uploads, for example, things like that. You could put it in place of that. You could say, hey, here's the playlist I want people to view. And they don't just have to be your videos. They could be someone else's videos as well. So you can curate a nice playlist as well. So as far as picking a title, I mean, how'd you come up with your show, Letitia?
Well, it was like I mentioned, like the overall message that we wanted to convey with our audience. So that's where the actual title of the show came from. So we're talking about topics of domestic violence. Then, you know, we came up with the title for that. And also my title really represents the type of audience that I want to target. So that's why I will have the successpreneur at the end, because, you know, preneur is like saying entrepreneur, you know what I'm saying? Or sister to sister connection is really more for women of color. So it also goes towards, you know, the certain type of audience that I want to. And thank you, Oscar, for helping me. I had to switch my mics there. He was telling me about my sound. Thank you for that.
I was wondering. I was like, hey, it's suddenly like, at first I was like, oh, it's on mute. I can't hear anything. And then all of a sudden it was like, I hear this voice. I'm like, oh. So thanks again, Oscar, for helping us with that.
Thank you. Y'all the best. So that's where it came from.
So just a couple of points here. I mean, I see like Dora, but by the way, Jaden, I'm gonna bring you here in a second. Dora, algún momento realizar en español. So we're not doing these in English, solamente en inglés. Sorry, solamente en inglés, no español. So I have to brush up on my Spanish.
You're good though.
I forgot it. So, but Dora will work on that. Okay, so Martin, I do Among Us live streams and gaming live streams. Okay, so I'd like to know, is your show called Among Us live streams? Like, tell us more about that. What exactly is your live stream about? Maybe we can help you fix the title, for example. Let's see. So Letitia, what else do we have here? Okay, so I don't see any other questions. So let's do this. I think let's bring on Jaden, I guess.
Yes, bring her on.
Okay, so Jaden, do you have a question? Jaden?
Uh-oh. It's still black for me.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they just dropped out. Okay, huh. So, okay, we'll come back to that. Not a big deal. Okay, so Zane's coming in as well. Okay, so let's bring Zane in. So, Zane, before I bring you in here, let me answer this one question from Wolves fan Dazzling Dave TV. I think my channel might be a bit different. It covers my Premier League football team, Wolverhampton Wanderers. What are my thoughts? So tell us more about it. Like and by the way, if you can, I'd love it if you just came backstage and we can bring you on live. So I want to have you tell our viewers about this. Like, what is your show about? And then we can offer some advice. And then I'm sure our audience can also offer some advice as well. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to go and bring on Zane, and then we'll keep going through these questions. So Zane, nope.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. Let's keep it.
You good?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
I just heard my son. I don't know what's happened to us. I have to go and check on him first. So
Okay.
I will have to come back. Sorry.
Okay.
It's okay.
Sure. No worries.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. And this is a topic, actually, maybe we'll talk about this when you come back. We'll talk about like how to deal with like kids and guests and things like that. So yeah, take your time. We'll keep answering questions and we'll see. Okay.
Oh, that's so nice.
No worries. Okay. So let's answer a couple questions. Okay. So can we have moderators for the chat? Okay. So is that so I think you're asking regarding StreamYard. We don't have so the way you could have a moderator for chat is, so let's use Letitia as an example. So let's say it's my account and say I'm like, hey, Letitia, can you help me manage the chat during the stream? This is where you might want to have a producer help you. So the way that it works is I would have to give her either two things. So for example, if I gave her right now you can tell me, Letitia, if you can see this, if I gave you just the invite link, the guest link, you can only see the comments backstage, right? You can't interact with them, right?
I can see the comments and I can see the private chat.
She can see the comments, the private chat, but she can't actually bring anything in, right? So the only way she can do that is I have to say, hey, Letitia, here's the email address I use. Give her the email address. She logs in, and then it's going to generate a code. It's going to send it to me because it's my account. And then I'm like, hey, here you go, Letitia. Here's my code. Once I give that to her, I then can bring her, give her basically admin privileges. So she's on the same level at that point that I am. And the benefit there is then that she can actually moderate the comments while I'm running the show. So I just keep this in mind. I mean, if you don't have a team, build a team. Build a team of people that can help you. For example, like when I do my show, what I do is I have Jim Fuse and Phil Gerbishak, friends of mine, and they help me Jim helps me co-host, and Phil comes on as almost like a backup co-host when he's available.
Yeah.
And what we do is they can either, for example, Letitia can either mention a comment, or if I say, hey, here's my admin login, she can log in and now she can help me bring the comments in. So we kind of bounce things off one another.
Yeah.
So I'm not having to do all the comments and everything else.
That's right.
So just keep that in mind. Okay. So I see Wolves fans going to come backstage. Awesome. Jaden, I see your phone died. So do me a favor. Just charge your phone up and come back in. So let's just, I've got people waiting. Okay, cool. And then let's not forget, Letitia, let's talk about TV Jovan's question about how to insert GIFs longer than 5 minutes. We definitely want to talk about that. So let's go bring on Zane first.
Yeah.
So Zane, thanks a lot for joining.
Hey guys, thank you so much.
Everything okay?
No, he was had a plastic stool and trying to climb up to the shelves and stuff like this. So I just had to sort of tell him, don't do that.
Always getting stuff.
Yeah. And that's the thing about once you're working from home as well, you have a kids walking in once you're live and they wanna, so that's another sort of con working from home as well.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about your show. Who are you? So you're Zane Shah, right? So what do you do? What's your business and what's your show title?
My name is Zane Shah, and I, as you can tell probably from accent, I'm from UK. And I have a YouTube channel, which is where I make a tutorial about how to sell on eBay, how to sell on Amazon, how to do the Shopify stores and everything. And as a live show, I do a live Q&A on every Sunday. So where everybody can come in and ask me the questions. That's my show is about. I have no particular name for it yet. So I was listening to you earlier. I probably will come up with some name as well.
Okay. Yeah. Let us know. Here's the thing. If you have questions, if you have specific ones about once you come up with some names of your show, feel free to message me and I'm happy to take a look at it and help you see what we can do to actually improve it or whatnot. So
my particular question is about you was mentioning having a team, building a team as well. So I've been doing this consistently for 1 year now. And I personally have learned from the YouTube a lot. And this is not like my main source of income. I don't really rely on it. So I do sell on eBay and Amazon myself. So I don't really depend on this one financially. So what I want to do, whatever revenue I'm making from a YouTube, I actually want to invest back in. So I have invested in a gear. And yesterday I did manage to hire an editor to edit the videos as well. But the problem that I'm having at the moment is a virtual assistant. It is overseas, and I'm having a lot of sort of hiccups to manage the team at the same time. So I have a virtual assistant who helped me with my Amazon business. I have one who manage my social media messages back and forth as well for eBay as well. But now for video editing, so I have 5 to 6 people working with me. It is being very difficult for me to manage each and every person. Any tips with that would be great.
Can I, Christian?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. You need to get possibly an OBM.
Okay.
What's an OBM? So explain that.
It's a business operation manager. They're basically you're the CEO, and then your OBM is here, and he or she is the one that communicates with the team. You let he or she know what your goal is, what you want to get done for the week, for the month, for the year, whenever, and they're going to be the communication with the team, because you are the creator. You have to get out there, create, come up with some new ideas so that you can funnel it down to your OBM, and in that individual delegates all that with the team. Another thing that's so important, I can't stress this enough, you have to when it comes to VAs, whether they're here or overseas, you have to literally have sort of like a standard operation manual, something like where every single process is typed up on a Google Doc somewhere. So in case, like what happened to me is sometimes we have VAs that, would take some time off, or they would go ghost on us. And no matter which VAs we switch, another VA could come on and take over that role, because everything's typed up and written out. All the processes are there. So there's no hiccups. I don't have to retrain anyone. So that's so important. So I would definitely, for you, is to get someone that's like another you to communicate, with your team, so that you're not overwhelmed, because team building is great, but when you reach like the 12 plus mark, it does feel like, oh my God, my inbox is full with messages, Letitia, what I do here, what I do there. And really, you just need that person in the middle to say, listen, this is what the focus is on this week. This is where I'm going to be at. You have access to my Google Calendar, so the Zoom links, where I'm going to be. Like Christian, when you added me to your calendar, I let the team know. So it's like everybody knows where I'm at. So I don't get like messages and interruptions like when I'm on here, because they know coach is on, so we'll handle whatever issue or anything that comes up. So that was Zane, that will help you out so much. It really will. There's going to come a point where there'll be a day where there's nothing. The team is handling everything, and you have nothing to do. And you're like, all right, I feel weird. Nobody's contacting me.
So far, the problem that is like we do the conversation back and forth with the email and WhatsApp and stuff like this, and I literally I'm not getting any sleep. I mean, as you can see, that's the thing. I really have to talk with each and every person. And as I am building up a team, I feel like I'm actually doing more work rather than I'm doing less work.
Do you have stuff typed out? Like, I use Google Docs a lot. So I would type something up on a doc and say, okay, when I go live, this is what I want done after the live. When I get done doing the class, this is what I want done after. Download the video, email it out to the clients. Like, do you have like steps? So that way, instead of them coming to you and saying, Zane, I have a question on this, they just go over to wherever portal, wherever you have all of your process. It's called building processes. Whatever your processes are for whatever it is that you're doing. Do you have that like typed? If you were to hire me as your VA, where would I go to know what it is I need to do for whatever you need me to do? Or will always be a conversation?
So they are familiar with my upload schedule as well. So they know when I will be sending them a video to edit as well. They know my live schedules as well. So they know when I'm live. Before that, they do need to send me a thumbnail and everything. And but you are right. I mean, I'd probably like the one thing you mentioned is like once somebody will leave and next one will take over. I had like a permanent video editor before who sort of was like I took my time to train him in my way, like the way I want editing and everything. But he left the job, and now when the new one come, I have to really as you mentioned, I had no Google Docs on everything, no schedule. And so I had to really train him right from the scratch. So this is something that it's really, so we need to have like a framework somewhere that's really good advice.
Something they can click and saying, okay, when I do this, you know, they click on it and they see everything typed out in front of them, you know, because like you said, you're always the one communicating, and that needs to stop this year. You're going to get overwhelmed.
Anything would you like to add, Christian?
I'd say that's something you need a process. You need a document, a written process, you know, of what needs to happen. So for example, if it's like, let's say it's your show. So having a run of show, for example, you know, that like for example, I have a document that I keep for all of my shows, and it's, you know, what's the, because remember, you can't schedule, for the most part, like Facebook Live, you can't schedule those till like 7 days in advance. So what ends up happening is I then have to make sure I do it at a certain time. So what I do is I keep a document with all that information, who the guest is, the date of the show, the time zone, by the way. So I keep all that stuff in there. And then I have a separate spreadsheet with all of the episodes. So therefore, if I'm going to have somebody doing the work, I can then say, hey, you know what, here's the document you need to go and reference. Next thing, for example, I have a podcast. I have a separate process for my podcast. And that also goes the same exact way. There's a whole document of like, well, what's our episode? What's the length of the episode? There's a separate document that has all the metadata, like the title, the subtitle, the tags, the URL, the closing, all that sort of stuff. And so every single thing is like that. And now what I can do is I just have to give the one document to, like, if it's the podcast one, build one document, and then you could actually hyperlink to all the different documents they need to reference. Does this make sense? So everything goes in one, and then you give them the reference, and then so your job should be to delegate. To, you know, and I want to make sure we bring on a bunch of people, because we got a lot of people waiting here, by the way. So make sure you start to delegate your tasks. So for example, and I'm not saying delegate everything, but delegate the things that like that person needs to handle. And at first I'll tell you right now, I mean, it's going to be hard at first if you've not had somebody, because you do have to work through like all the little nuances and the questions and things like that. And you get that person going and you use your process. And then as that process is going, just think in the back of your mind, I'm getting all these questions from people. Like, I have this person and they're rotating to someone else, but I keep getting the same questions. Well, then that tells me I need to fix something in this process.
Bam.
But that's what you need to do. You need to try to delegate as much as you can to those people, and make sure it's documented. Honestly,
write down everything you're doing right now. Everything you're doing right now, write it down into steps. That's the best place to get started. Yeah.
Yeah, it's particularly about this social media. I'm very new to it, but for eBay and Amazon, I have like my second brain, which I call it a second brain. It's a notes that build up, and these are like a frequently asked question by the customer. So now we are at the stage where we don't have to literally type any message. We just do copy and paste there.
Do the same thing with your team.
Yeah, so it's just like a process of documenting everything that we will do same for that one as well. Any tool you can recommend before I go to manage
for which part?
To manage the team, like if I can create a timelines for them, and
you could start off with Trello. I use Monday.com. That's what we started using for the past 6 months. We love it, but start off with Trello if you want to have something a little bit more easy and not so complex. Yeah, because with Monday, I can actually see how long the team is spending on things. That's another thing. You want to make sure that they're optimizing their time.
And the other thing I would say also, so if you're using, like I'll give you an example. If you're using for like social media, I don't know what tool you're using necessarily, but one of the tools I recommend is Gore Pulse, is what I personally use. And that tool has, so this way, instead of like having to, so that one has a management side to it. So for example, let's say a question comes in and I'm like, hey, you know what? I need to give this to so-and-so to work on. I can assign them the task and I can just add a comment. And then there's a cool feature in there where, as you mentioned, hey, you're getting the same questions over and over. Here's the way that works. Instead of the person typing it out all the time, you type it out once and then it's a saved reply, and then that person needs to respond. All they have to do is click on the response and send it to something. And that could be maybe at first it's a written message, but then it gets into going into a YouTube video that you've created, or a blog article that has the article and the instructions and the YouTube video or something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
So,
I really appreciate that.
Cool. Very cool. Okay.
See you next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Zane.
Thank you, Zane.
Bye.
Okay, Dazzling Dave, I'm going to bring you in here in a second. What I want to do is I want to answer just a couple of questions real quick. And I know a couple people dropped out as well. So we'll keep this to like 2 to 3 questions. Who you are, what your show is about, your questions, and then we'll keep things moving. I'm going to answer just a couple of questions here, by the way, in the chat. So let's see. So to Michael Daniel's point here, so we're going to, I made a note of that as a feature request, the ability for guests to see and interact with comments. I got that last week as well from somebody. So I'll make a note of that. Let's see. So thanks a lot. Flat Earth Nation, StreamYard rules. Can you have your co-host do that? Yeah, you can have your co-host do some of the work as well. Yeah, if, like almost like they're almost an assistant or a producer with you, a co-producer. So keep that in mind. Let me see. So a couple other questions. Let's see. Guitar giveaway. I don't have any. I don't have any like features to necessarily tell you as far as the pipeline. We talk about those on our Sunday town hall. So Gage and Dan, co-founders of StreamYard, they do this every Sunday, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. They come on and they talk about like what's new. I think it was last week we increased the number of people you could have backstage and on screen at one time. So I think it's like 12 people backstage.
Yeah, it's 12
on
now,
screen, including yourself. So that was definitely a feature we've rolled out. And then, as we roll new stuff out, we'll make sure we update that on the town hall each week. That's the goal of that. And also it's to stay in tune with you. James Hicks, thanks a lot for joining us as well this week. Thank you. Let's see. Any other questions going on? If there's anything else on this, let me know. But let's do this. Let's bring on Dazzling, or you know what, Hunt, Dave, I'm going to bring on Antonio real quick because he's been dropping in and out a bunch. And he was in queue, and I'm going to bring you on real quick. Okay, I promise. Okay? And I promise. It's funny. I'm sitting here pointing at Dazzling Dave here on my screen, but I can't see that. So, Antonio, how you doing?
Oh.
Okay, so let's see. Do we bring him on? Do we wait for him to come back on? Let's give him a couple seconds here. Let's
give him 3 seconds. For 12. Hey, NLT.
The show is all about you. So it's questions that you have. Like there's really no, like, I'm not going to just talk about how to name your show, for example.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about that, we can. But if you have specific questions on things, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's bring on Dazzling Dave. We'll wait for Antonio to join back. But Dazzling Dave, how you doing?
Yeah. Hi guys. How are you?
Great,
doing great. Your video looks good, by the way. So it looks like you got good lighting, good camera.
Perfect.
Oh, this is good. I like seeing the setup. So you got a ring light. And what kind of camera?
Yeah, I've got my main computer and stuff over there, and that's obviously I'm just sitting here on the little office.
Okay.
Stuff. So yeah, I'm all set up. I've been doing YouTube now for probably about 3 years. I've just over 23,000 subs on my channel.
Nice.
So
congrats.
It's great. And what I do, as you can see, I'm a massive supporter of Premier League team Wolverhampton Wanderers. So it all started from doing match day vlogs, going to the game, filming the experience, uploaded it one time. People asked me to do more, and it's kind of gone there. And I've got more and more, more and more professional as I've gone along. And it's quite a passion of what I do now. Almost do daily stuff, but because of the coronavirus and the virus, not being able to go to games, being able to connect with my audience. If someone messaged me on my Instagram and said, "Why don't you do a watch along?" And I'm like, "What? You want to watch me watching a match?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I looked at OBS and all of those things look really, really complicated. Found StreamYard, and the one thing I like about StreamYard is it's so easy to get up and going. Obviously, I did a few trials with it, and then it went down really well, and now I've obviously paying for the monthly subscription. And so I'm obviously quite interested to see how you, when you get a chance to have a look at what I do in terms of the streams. A question that I get asked a lot, and knowing some friends from other clubs that do this, we get asked all the time about putting a timer, a match timer on the channel. So, i.e., if it's in the 19th minute of the game and people are watching, I'll get asked, well, what minute we're in all the time? And there doesn't seem to be a way to be able to put a clock timer on like you can in other softwares. Is there any plans to do that? Because it would be so useful, because I get asked all the time. I must be asked 5 or 6 times a game.
So I can tell you this. I can put it in as a feature request. I know that it's a bit of a challenge to do. Like, for example, like right now, if you tried to do it, it'd be like a full screen overlay. So I know the way that I can get around it, and I can show you how this would work. And this is where like you're going to have to create an animated GIF basically, and you're going to put it in your logo section. So like I'll show you an example. The logos actually. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the little trick. So I'll show you how this would look. So the first part, what I'm going to show you is this one. So this is going to show like 5 minutes. It's counting down, but you're going to notice there's a bit of a glitch. It glitches at 5 seconds in. Okay. So that one doesn't work. And that might be because of the length of the timer. It could be just how complicated it's made. However, I do have this one. This is a 5-minute one that I have, and it's going to count down, and it counts all the way down to 0. So that's the way I would add it right now. Again,
obviously with the match, it goes upwards to 45 minutes a half, and then the second half it kicks in at 46, and there's added time and stuff. Is there so it's like a clock rather than a counter?
Yes. So so which way are you looking to go? Are you looking for
well, the match kicks off at minute 0 in a soccer match, and half time's 45 minutes, and then it might run on a couple of minutes with injury time, and then the second half starts from 46 minutes. And it's just as I'm watching the game, so people can actually see what minute we're on. That's cool that I've just seen you do that. It's like, how did you even do that?
So I literally just went to Google. I found an animated GIF, a 5-minute countdown timer. And then I just tested various ones to see which one I liked. Now you could create this yourself as well. Personally, I mean, I would almost say like you could even go to, so what I did was I downloaded this from like, I think it was jiffy.com maybe. But you may want to even just go to fiverr.com. And if you're like, hey, I need very specific ones, because of 5 minutes, like if you need like 45 minutes, that's not standard necessarily. So I might go to somebody who is a designer and say, hey, you know what? Can you design this for me? And these are the requirements. For example, if it's a logo, it needs to be, it's 200 by 200, for example, and then it has to be under a certain size. But so that's where you'd want to like do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've used Fiverr before now. So it's basically would be a timer that goes from 1 to 45 minutes.
Yep.
And then I can reset it at 45 minutes to the start of the second half and going up after that. And if it gets past 90, it goes +1, +2, adding time and that stuff. So I don't know if you watch many soccer games over there or not, but you kind of hopefully you know what I mean. Yeah.
No, I do. I do. And just a couple of points. I mean, so Michael Daniel says you can screen share the timer. That is an option as well. For example, like here, let's see if I can do this. So remember, you have different views in StreamYard.
Yeah.
So like you could theoretically do a screen share here. Let me just do this here. Let's see.
I've not put my head around how to do a screen share actually.
Okay. So here's what I'll do. Let me show you that real quick, actually, because it's very easy to do. So a standard screen share would be something like this. I'm going to share just another YouTube window, but I'm going to just show you my whole screen here. So let's do this. Okay. So what you're going to see now, when I pull this up, you're going to see how I kind of have things divided up. So here on the left is our YouTube video that we're watching right now. On the right is, this is basically our StreamYard dashboard. Now in the StreamYard dashboard, to do this sort of screen share, I'm just going to click on this button here that says stop screen share. I would click that. It would say share screen share. I click that. It's going to pop up a window. And then there's going to be some tabbed options at the top. I'm going to select on the right. There's one that says like if I want to share a specific Chrome tab, I'm going to select the one I want. And there's a box at the bottom that says share audio. And I just check that and hit share. And it's going to bring that in just like this. Does this make sense?
Yeah, because I'm watching.
Yeah. So and if I stop this, actually here, let me stop this and I'll share my whole screen. And I think you should see it. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, you know what? Let me see. I don't think you're going to be able to see you're not going to be able to see the whole thing. But the bottom line is you click on the screen share option that's at the bottom of your broadcast. Okay. It's going to pop up a modal window, and you're going to have the ability to select, do you want to share an application? Do you want to share the entire screen, or do you want to share a tab? And then you're going to just
that pops up where full screen or in just one of the little boxes.
Yep. It pops up in a box, and then we bring it into our dashboard by just clicking on the one we want to share. So here, let me see if I can show you this. Let's see. We find something here. I'll just do this. I'll just share the pricing page. Okay, so this is what it might look like. So we're going to hit screen share. And again, experiment with this. And if you find you're stuck, just let me know. And I'm happy to walk you through it. So, okay. So this is what it might look like. So this would be, for example, the screen share. I'm sharing a specific Google Chrome tab.
Okay.
And then underneath your video in your broadcast, you have the ability to switch to different views. Like this is soloing myself. This is a heads up of the three of us.
Yeah, I'm good with the views because I've started a new show called Post Match where people can, like what you're doing now, come and join me on the stream and I can switch the views. And I've done some graphics around that. It's just a sharing of the screen. The other thing that I'll get a bit confused with, there's right on the right hand side when you're on individual mode, there's a little, it looks like a painting with a board around it for a single person. And I've tried to bring up, the way I see that is it's supposed to make it smaller with a board around it. But when I do that, it's the same as the one on the far side. What is that for?
Are you referring to the one that's in the top corner of the box?
Yeah, on the bottom, when you've got on the bottom line, you've got like a list of different things, like you've got 2 people, 3 people, and on the far right hand side, it looks like a painting type thing, with a white on the outside and blue square on the inside. Yeah, and I can't figure out what that's for.
So that's for soloing a screenshot or a tab that you're sharing. So, for example, right now, so in this current situation, so I clicked on share screen at the bottom. When I brought that up, it brought up so it gave me different views. Like let's say it's this view right here. Okay, so it's just us. Okay, so now when I want to actually bring in the stream, if I do this, so now it's the 3 of us down the side, and here's your screen share in the middle, right?
Okay.
So now if I switch to the one on the far right, you're talking about the painting with the box. When I switch that actually takes the screen share and makes it full screen. It's basically solos, and then you click it again. If I want to, I can click it again.
And you can play around with this on the test thing, can't you?
Yeah, you should be able to play around with this. Yeah. And it's pretty straightforward. I mean, I'd recommend just testing out the different views and figuring out which one works based on what you're wanting to do. And then another little trick you can also do is if I want to drag people around, let's say I want to put Letitia, I want to move you up to the top here. I can just drag your video feed around. Now I can only drag it up and down as a video, as one of the video feeds. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how that works. Make sense?
No, that's great. I would appreciate if you get a chance to have a look at my channel and what I do. Sure. Any tips that you can give me to try and improve what I do, and say the timer. When I say the timer, the clock, the ability to have a clock and set that clock would be really, really, really useful for me. It'd probably be really useful for a lot of other people as well, to be honest.
Yeah. So here's what I'll do. I've made a note about a feature request, so we'll see what we can get done, and see where we can get that on the roadmap. Okay.
Yeah, that's great, and it's just really good to have this sort of thing. It just shows that you really connect with the users, and you take feedback and listen. And that's the one good thing I think I like about StreamYard is the fact that it's all a community. and you just keep trying to get better and better and better. And the one thing that I love about it, I like doing what I do. I'm not the most technical person. I looked at like the OBS and it just looked like so complicated, and the ease of use is the big thing that I love about it.
And it very well could be. It has different, like, it's a free piece of software, so it could do a lot of stuff, but it's also like you can use it can be a complementary tool as well. So you could theoretically bring in a countdown timer into that and then bring that in as well. Or you could, for example, bring your feed into that and then bring it into StreamYard, for example, as a virtual camera if you wanted to. And Joe Dexter makes a good point here as well, by the way. And I know, Antonio, thanks a lot for waiting, by the way. I'm going to bring you here in a second. Let me find his question. So Joe has an example, and he says, hey, you could share the screen of a play-by-play from a sports website. And so that's what this might look like. So I just pulled up a random ESPN website. So it could look something like this, for example. So you could be showing, this is one thing you could do. We could solo it. So for example, let me see if I can do this. I'm going to put you in solo mode. Let's see if this will work. Nope. So it's just going to do me. However, it could be like what I'm doing here, which is I'm on screen and I'm talking about whatever's on this side, for example.
Right. Okay.
So that might be something. And granted, I guess that's a little hard to see. So you may want to adjust that possibly.
So that's basically a site that updates. When you said a play-by-play, I was just for a second I thought you were going to say like the actual game. It would be absolutely amazing if I could put you get done by copyright and all that. Doing that.
Yeah. That is the downside to trying to do what you're doing, which is
that's what
I understand what you're doing.
It amazes me that people watch me watching the game. But they love to watch the reaction. I talk to them and they have conversations, and it's so interactive. And it helps doing the live streams as well. The one thing I have noticed as well from doing live stream, and this is to anyone out there that's watching this, because people get engaged and they get more of your personality, they get drawn more into your channel. And after every live stream, you've got more subscribers. It's amazing. It really does push your subscribers because they buy into you and what you're doing, and then they want to check out all the other content that you do, which is really cool. I've noticed that since I've done since I've started doing it, that you do get people signing up to your channel and then becoming part of your community, and that's what we're all about at the end of the day.
That's right.
Definitely.
Building that community.
And
thank you.
Anytime.
It would be really good, and I'll keep my eye out on that time and the clock.
Sure. Yeah.
No problem.
And don't be afraid. Here's the thing. Don't be afraid to test some of the software as well. So if you're like, hey, you know what, I think this software is complicated. I mean, most software, if you've never used it, might seem complicated. Yeah. Test it out and so it's like if you're trying to build something, like say you're trying to build a house, you have this grand vision of what you want it to be, but then you have to think every single room, every little thing is actually planned out. And so you want to kind of think about the same thing of like, hey, there's a feature I want to use in my show. How do I go about doing that? And maybe the first one is going to be like the crude mock-up or the crude iteration of it. Yeah. And then you're going to figure out, okay, well, you know what? I got to add some other stuff. Let me test something else. Let me add something else to that. Like, let me tinker with it and get it actually working how I want it to. So just keep that in mind. So
that's great. And I'll tell you what, if you've not got a soccer team, if you're in the States, because you use the word soccer, it's proper football over here in England. Like, I've never understood. I do follow the American football, but it's all throwing. But you know what I mean. It's like there's not much foot in it apart from the running. And I do follow my American football, and I do like the NFL. But I know you call it soccer, so that's fine. But if you haven't got a British soccer team, Wolverhampton Wanderers, gold colours. That's who you need to support. There you go. Might get some new soccer fans for the Wolves. Fantastic.
Awesome. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Brilliant, guys. All the best. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Okay, so let's see. So Antonio, you're finally up. I'm gonna do one question real quick, and then we're gonna bring you on. So Lenda USA has a question. They're saying suggestions to fix snow-like pixelation when they stream using Elgato Cam Link with Sony a6600 using MacBook M1 chip and docking station. Okay, so I definitely don't. I don't think it's the camera. I think part of that is to make sure you have enough lighting. That's the first thing, because I can tell you I'm actually running. I think I actually have the same model. I'm not running it through the Elgato. I'm using a ATEM Mini switcher, so I don't have to actually have. I don't have. Well, I have one of these as well. So I have one of these. That's the Cam Link. So I have one of these, but I'm not using it because I'm using the ATEM Mini switcher there. So I don't necessarily think that. And I can tell you also, it's not the Mac M1 chip either that's the issue. I have one of those as well. I would say potentially your issue might be your docking station. I know a lot of these docking stations, they only support so much power. And so what a lot of people will do is they will have too much like drawing current from the docking station or the hub or things like that. And so you may need to reduce. So if it were me, what I would do is this: I would unplug everything and let's start from scratch. Let's get the camera, like for example, okay, so all you're doing is literally plugging in the camera feed. So one thing is it could be the docking station. So maybe I'll get just an adapter to be able to plug HDMI into my laptop. So maybe you need, like, if it's a Mac, maybe you need the USB-C. Actually, I think you need one of these. Sorry, I pretty much have everything you have here you need. So I think I would say get this. This is Apple's adapter. It has an HDMI connection here. Let's see if I get the camera to focus on that. There you go. Oh. So it has an HDMI plug. What I would do is I would get the USB-C version. You can plug that into your laptop, plug the HDMI option into your Elgato, and go from there and see if it actually, sorry, you know what? That's not going to work because you need USB. First off, just get a hub, either get a hub or get an adapter and plug this into your laptop. For example, you would need one of these. You need a USB-C to USB-A adapter here. So you plug this in. Sorry, I can't get that to focus. You need this. You plug this in. This is what I would do first. I'd go with this kind of option. So use this first. See if you can get this to work, and then this helps rule out some of the things. My guess is it's a cable or it's an adapter issue. So, okay. So with that, I'm going to keep moving here. So Antonio, bringing you on. Thanks a lot for the question, by the way, Len to USA. And again, if you have any issues, specific issues, you can also reach out to StreamYard.com/contact. And we have a great support team. They'll answer your questions.
Yeah.
They'll even help you with your tech. So if you have a specific issue and it's not even StreamYard, they'll help you with that. So reach out to them. Okay, Antonio, good to have you, by the way. Thanks a lot for being patient and joining.
Oh, no, thank you guys for being patient with me and all my technology issues that's happening today. How's everybody doing?
Amazing.
Great. So what can we help you with? Okay, so your name's Antonio. What do you do? What's your show?
Right. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you guys so much for this live today. I found it and it's blessing me so much. Letitia, if I said it correctly, I see you out
Letitia.
Letitia. Yes. Sorry.
It's okay.
I see you out there in the virtual world and in social media. So you're doing an awesome job. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
And Christian, you know you the man. But
all the way.
There's one problem.
Yeah, what's that?
I talk to him on social media. He costs me money, and my credit card likes him.
Here's the thing. I like gear. I love gear, actually, but I also like making sure people get the right equipment that they need.
You do.
Yes. You know, I mean, I bought too many microphones to so I end up with too many microphones and too much stuff. Just because I like gear, but I like getting the right stuff and
the right stuff. Yeah.
You know, and sometimes it's, I'm trying to kind of impart some of my own knowledge to people. So what can we help you with today?
So yes, sir. Thank you very much. Here's my question. First of all, we have a show called Conversation with the Ghosteds. It's okay. We have no idea how it happened. It happened during the pandemic. We just went live one day talking about marriage, talking about life. And the next thing we know, people's like, hey, y'all need to keep going. And then we just somehow we just turned into 4:30 on Sundays. And most days we have no clue. You hear me? Real clear. No clue what we're going to talk about until we start talking. And it's just because something happened to us right before that. And we had a spat or whatever, a parenting issue, whatever. We talk about it. And it's really been blessing a lot of people. Okay. So here's my question. My question is, number one, I want to talk about hashtags. You mentioned a minute ago that you own your hashtag. That got my attention. Tell me more about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what about hashtags? What do you have one, or do you need to pick one? What's your?
Well, we just be trying different things. We do hashtag the ghostins is kind of the one that we use the most. Hashtag the ghostins. GHOLSTONS.
Okay.
But you say own it, and because this thing is really catching on, I guess I wanted to know, what does that mean? We say own it. You buying it, or you trademarking it or something? That's what I'm trying to find out.
So first thing with hashtags, no one owns a hashtag.
Okay.
No.
You own it in the sense that, like, if you use it the most, you own it. Nobody technically owns it in the sense that I don't buy a hashtag. So I create it. Now, the first thing you're going to want to look at is, like, if you have some ideas, like maybe there's other, like, or there are other similar, I'm throwing this out there. If there are other similar shows that you might follow or something that has a similar model, are they using hashtags? That's the first thing. So if they are, let's look at what they're using. Like if they're very successful, for example, or they're moderately successful. So let's look at what they're using. And then the other thing that's really important. So if it's YouTube, you can have 3 hashtags that they will pick up and they will put above your video. Now, the things you want to remember here. So the reason I said, hey, you want to own something, you want to have a hashtag that you create is unique to your show. Okay. That's the. Now, the other thing is, though, if we went and said, like for example, I talk a lot about social media on my, or actually I talk all about social media on my Social Chef's YouTube channel. So that one, I just said, hey, I'm going to use hashtag social media marketing, hashtag YouTube live. Too generic. Here's the problem. The reason that's too generic is because if you go through and look at those hashtags, everyone else is using the same hashtag.
Okay.
So you want to insert yourself into those conversations, but you don't want it to be so generic. Does that make sense? Like, so you get 3. And I'd say this. I'd say pick one that is specific to your business or your brand.
Okay.
And then use the other 2 to get your conversation into those other threads.
Got it. That was my intro question. Here's the real question. As we said, we have the conversation with the ghosts. Me and my wife are both entrepreneurs. Okay. I have an IT technology company, and I have my own page for that. I have my personal page, and then my wife has her own. She runs 2 different companies as well. One she does pretty much exclusively on Facebook selling jewelry. Mm-hmm. So we have a conversation with the Ghostins group. So my question is, we don't get a lot of traffic when we stream straight to the group. We get more traffic on our pages, but we want to kind of keep it, kind of streamline it, so that way, particularly with her, she can't do a lot of different things on her page because of some legality things that she does. So she kind of had to keep them separate. Okay. So in terms of, so it's kind of twofold question. How do we just got to build it, just push it straight to the groups? I guess is the first question. And then 2 is around titles. You talked a lot about that earlier in the show. So with respects to titles, we call it, the show is called Conversations with the Ghostins. So what do we put in StreamYard when we go live? Like, what we put just a title and then put the subtitle in the description? Like, that's the biggest thing I want to understand.
So let's see. So if you're doing so I mean, if I'm going to put this out on YouTube, the other thing also I try to do is I try to put in, like, I try to optimize every video for a specific keyword.
Okay.
So that doesn't necessarily have to be in your title, but it does help in the sense that what are people looking for? And Letitia, feel free to weigh in here. So like, for example, if you're talking about like what's a main topic you would talk about on the show? So so we know what the show's called. Okay. But what's the top, like what's each episode about?
Yeah. What's the topic?
Again, well, the last 2 weeks we talked about the entanglement.
Okay.
So, and that has just caught, I mean, we've gotten 1,000 calls about this show.
Yes.
It was called the entanglement.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not familiar. I'll say right now, I'm not familiar with that necessarily, but
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
So,
I'm sorry.
I'm not necessarily familiar with that, but what I would say is, if that's like what that show is going to be about, and this is where this is why you want to try to plan out some of these as best you can, so that you can put in the information ahead of time. So when you schedule it in StreamYard, it's going to create the broadcast over on YouTube, but you're also going to want to go the next step, which is you go into your YouTube channel in YouTube Studio in the top right corner. So you click on your avatar, or you click on YouTube Studio, and then it's going to bring you to a page where you can see all your videos. And you're going to then want to go to the live tab, and you'll see the StreamYard scheduled broadcast. And there's where you're going to want to edit. Like if your title and your description are good, great, but you're going to want to add tags related to what that video is about.
So you can do a poll. You can do it after you schedule the stream. You can go in there and make the changes.
Yep, you should. You actually should. Yes.
Yes,
a lot of people don't do that. So
I didn't know that.
I just started doing it. Actually, it has helped a lot. But you know, this is since you and your wife are doing so many different things. It's a great thing that you guys should start building a list. So that way, when you guys are doing different things, different topics, different shows, you can send out email blasts to your list to let them know where they need to go. Whichever week. And this is what I like about StreamYard is I could schedule out, like I scheduled out a show I'm going to do next Saturday. And I email my list to let them know that, hey, we're going to be broadcasting live next Saturday. This is what we're going to be talking about. When I wasn't doing that, a lot of my viewers were saying, Coach, I don't know when you're doing what, you know, I was expecting for the notifications to do their thing like Facebook, YouTube, but that doesn't always happen the way we want. So now people will squeeze your show into their day instead of you just popping up and say, hey guys, we're going to talk about entanglement today. You know, you want a whole sub of people to come on and it to be notified about it, you know, to give them time to make room for you.
For the most part, it's about marriage life.
Yeah.
You're married 15
I know.
years. No, I know you know.
So that's one thing. So that's one thing. Hey, how you doing? So that's one thing you'd want to do, by the way. So when you put in, like, I know Michael says like tags in YouTube aren't as powerful as they used to be in the past. I mean, they're still, I think they're still extremely powerful. Actually, YouTube uses them as signals. So it's your title, your description, and your tags. They look at them to help, like, part of it's the engagement factor of people tuning in, but it's also what the content is about to help them show the videos to people, whether it's through search or whether they're showing them in the sidebar or recommended videos at the end, or any of that kind, or even when they watch your videos, what shows up down the strip on the side, you want your own videos to show there as well. So just keep that in mind. But I would say this, I mean, that's where you might want to put the broad or some of the broader topics you're going to talk about. Like if it's marriage counseling, for example, or married life or things like that, that's where you might want to put those in there, and there's specific like questions that people might ask. Those would go in your tags as well for your live streams. So
thank you so much.
Awesome. Anytime.
Thank you, guys.
You're very welcome. Do me a favor, actually, if you, when you get finished, just head over, if you want to, just head to Facebook Messenger, send me a private message, and we'll chat a little more offline. Okay.
I appreciate you guys so much. You guys are both awesome. Enjoy the rest of your day and keep doing great work.
Thank you. You too. Okay, so let's answer a couple more questions, and then Corey, I'm going to bring you here in 2 seconds. So let me see what other questions we have here, Letitia. Okay, so, and again, I mean, these are questions. If you have questions, just bring them on. So one quick thing, we were talking earlier about the lending user had a question about their like pixelation and whatnot. And again, I said unplug everything and start from scratch by plugging things in and testing it. NLTMW also made this suggestion. Let me find it real quick. They said docking stations run everything. Traffic congestion becomes an issue. Yes. So there are different types of docking stations, and don't be confused by docking station and hub. They're two different types of products. So the hub, for example, right now, I would show you guys this, but it's plugged into my computer, but it's literally one cable plugged into my computer, and then I can plug things into it. Like I can plug in a monitor and USB-C and USB-A products and Ethernet if I want to. But the way those things work is there's only so much power that they have. And so if you plug too much stuff in, it will not work properly. It might things might like Mike say, hey, you know what? We ran out of resources trying to, use your hard drive, for example, like your external hard drive or something. So
I have a question on that. I want to, because everything's plugged into my laptop, but I want to move all the cords on this side of the room because over here, everybody's kicking it, or my nephew would shut the power off. But so I would get a docking station.
You could get a docking station. Yeah, a docking station. You could get a powered hub. CamLink, for example, makes a good one. And we could talk offline. There's a bunch of different options. But the way those work is they are one cable. It sounds similar, but it's one cable to a box, and then the box is where you plug everything in. But the key difference is it's powered, i.e. it's going into a power outlet. So all the power, it's got enough power going to it to be able to then power all the stuff that you want to run versus just using a hub. If you plug a hub in and the hub only has like a certain amount of power it can give, sometimes your devices are drawing more power than you can give. Okay, so let's see. And then one other quick point, by the way, from Zane. If you can't make the most of what you have, upgrading won't get you what you want. And I think that's a great point. So again, I mean, because when you start a live stream, you know, it's about having like, you know, you improve the camera. We always recommend improving the audio first so that it sounds the best that it can. And then moving into, you know, improving various facets, whether it's moving from the webcam built in your laptop to a webcam, such as the Logitech webcam, or into a mirrorless DSLR. And then, for example, maybe you change the background, like this is a printed vinyl behind me. So just some stuff to keep in mind. Okay. And then one last question, by the way, from Ballad of Janine. They ask what kind of suggestions for USB mics. I'd recommend like an ATR 2100. And that's an interesting mic. It's two things, actually. It's a USB mic and an XLR mic. And, you know, for those of you who don't know, I mean, so USB is like, is the way you'd kind of start using it, but then you'd want to move into the XLR model as you kind of grow your stream. And I want to show you all what that one looks like real quick. So this is what that one looks like. So this is the Audio-Technica mic. This is about $100 mic, but $100 you can sometimes find them for like $60. It comes with a stand as well, but this is a very good mic, and it has the option to do both USB and
they're
XLR.
saying they're not seeing it.
Thanks. I got to remember to keep doing that. Thanks a lot. Actually, I appreciate that. I always forget to add my screen to the stream. So this is the ATR 2100. It's a USB and an XLR mic. It includes a nice little stand as well with it, but definitely something worth checking out. It's got options to help you grow. So you spend $100 now, and then you can use it for USB and then move into XLR as your business grows. At that point, you would need like an audio interface and all that kind of stuff as well that goes with it. Okay, so Corey, thank you for being patient.
Hey, not a problem. So we have an RV channel that we do RV videos on, as well as we do what we call a live video podcast that we interview other RV YouTube channels and people in the RV industry. And then we go ahead and download that audio from StreamYard and upload it to the actual podcast as well. My question for you today is tips for helping keep the audience in the chat engaged during an interview situation. We are currently using StreamBot in there to kind of help try with some engagement. My wife moderates the chat as well, trying to keep people talking and things like that. But looking for other tips that we could maybe do for that.
Letitia, do you want to offer any suggestions?
Yeah, like, are you asking your audience questions? Like, hey, like sometimes when I go live, I'm like, hey guys, are you getting this? Or what questions do you have? Or even like how we're doing this when you're inviting people on your guys' show and they can ask their questions then, because, you know, RV has gone skyrocket. Like I wish I purchased the stock in RVs, you know, before the pandemic.
Yeah, what we're currently doing, we have a Google form set up, and I pinned the link to that to the top of the chat as well as in the description. That people can answer questions. And then after we get about halfway through the interview process, we of our questions, then we go ahead and start asking questions from those in the chat as well.
And how is your engagement right now? Are people asking? Are they going to the Google link?
We're getting a few people going to the Google link. So I get a few questions each week. Normally, what I'm seeing in my analytics on the YouTube side is about half of the people can just kind of come and go throughout the live stream. And then the other half are kind of sticking through the whole thing. So I'm just trying to think of ways that we can keep them engaged in the chat to keep them around in the live stream for longer retention there.
Yes. Are you guys doing like giveaways, like maybe a T-shirt or something like that, or even
we haven't on that live stream. We've done other live streams that we do giveaways and play trivia games and things like that, and those seem to have better engagement. But again, that kind of falls off away from our niche, so we're trying to limit that as much as we can and try to stick to our niche within our industry.
But what topics? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
But what topics are you guys talking about? Is it just like a whole circumference of just RV topics, but what is the main topic that you guys are discussing?
Like when we are interview our other RV YouTube channels, we'll ask them about how they got started in YouTube, what made them start, RVing, questions about their RV that they had and why they chose it, things of that nature.
So I'm going to give you some advice. So I have a podcast that's called Launcher Live, and I do a very similar model. So what I do is we record the podcast using StreamYard, and then I also am sending it to YouTube at the same time. So I'm sending it to YouTube, and then what I'm doing is, and it's a very similar topic, I'm interviewing live streamers. And so what I do is we publish that, we have, in a schedule, we publish that video out and then just optimize it. So we actually aren't streaming the interview. That honestly might be, if it were me, I would take a different approach to kind of how you're doing things. I would consider doing streams on specific topics about RVing. And then, because the thing is, if people are just jumping in, jumping out, like you can't control that. So how do you keep them on? So, if you're doing a live stream and like people aren't joining, for example, then you're like, well, hey, is this worth my time? That's where I would say like, hey, why don't you do a interview series, but publish it as a uploaded video or publish it live, like make it unlisted initially and then put it out there. Now, what you could do at some point, once you build the audience and you get the subscribers going, like how many subscribers do you have now?
Right now we're at almost 1,800 subscribers.
Okay. Good number. I mean, so part of it is going to be making sure you do the standard, like, hey, click click the subscribe button, encourage them to, to do that during your videos. So like whether it's pre-recorded or live streamed. But I might consider doing the niche topics first and then maybe bringing back the interview.
Okay.
Like maybe live stream the interview after. Because here's the thing, if like, yeah, you got 1,800 people. I don't know how many of those are actually active. And so you want to make sure that you get a core active base. That's going to help you, I think, the most. So what I would do is I would do the niche topics, stream some of those and then move into doing the interviews based on what you see. Because I think you'll get more success with the niche topics.
I agree. Okay. Yeah. And Michael made a good point. He said, if you have a blog or Facebook community, then ask questions ahead of time and then bring them on. That we do that for one of our shows where we broadcast it officially on Saturday, but on Wednesday we do like, this is what we're going to talk about next on the panel so that our audience knows that on Saturday we're going to do the show, but this is what we're going to talk about. And we get some panelists to come on then. So so you're doing promotion around the show, but I love that idea, Christian. I didn't even think about that.
No, and here's the thing, it's something you're going to have to experiment with, but look at the, determine like how long should the live stream be? Look at, if there are other channels doing streaming for RVs, how are they doing it as well? Because I mean, nobody owns the fact that like, hey, I do I do an interview and I interview other RVers, for example. Nobody owns that. So like you just do a better job at having better guests on, and things like that. But look at the angles they're taking and see, okay, well, this one would work better for live streaming and this would be a better pre-recorded video. So that's the first thing. And then,
we're doing the RVing, the other RV YouTubers kind of for a networking aspect, building the RV community on YouTube. But definitely the ones that we do that are more niche based as far as like we've done some RV battery manufacturers and things like that. Those definitely seem to have more engagement. So that falls right in line with what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I would do. I mean, anybody else that's watching have any advice you want to ask or anything you want to offer Corey here? I mean, I think that, again, I mean, you're going to want to experiment with some of it, but, I think once you do the niche topic, I think then you also have those same points, encouraging people to like and subscribe while they're watching the stream. Very good questions. Like, for example, Letitia mentioned this earlier, ask people about, for example, like maybe where they're from, like, again, I mean, if you're an RV, I guess you're kind of moving all over. Maybe ask them what type of RV model they use or where they're currently, what's their latest location, things like that to drum up some of that excitement. Okay. But again, it's also the questions that you're asking. Like if people know they're going to join your show and they're going to learn about X topic, that I think is the more exciting part versus like, I'm just interviewing somebody. And if somebody's not a part of the show, I don't think they're going to want to like they'll tune in, but then they might be like, oh, hey, oh, oh, that doesn't really fit me. That's not the type of person that I want to like connect with or something like that. So that's what I would do. So.
All right, sounds good. That's all I got.
And even go sometimes. Okay, so you know how we go into Google and we'll type in RV. Scroll all the way down, and you're gonna see those keywords pop up. Those keywords are so important, guys, because that's what your audience is actually keying into Google, which is the #1 search engine. So YouTube is the second search engine. So do that, and you can base your even topics around what people are already searching for. That's one thing that I do a lot of when I get like brain fog.
Keywords anywhere, and I use Morning Fame a lot, and Google Trends and all that stuff to be looking up keywords and things that search in our industry.
Yeah, and I got a good little YouTube tip for everyone. So if you go to YouTube and you search, give me a keyword you want to search for, Corey.
What's that?
What would be a keyword that you might want to look up on YouTube? Or
like,
let's go with Google first.
Like RV upgrades or
RV upgrades. Okay, so here's my little tip here. Okay, so I'm going to go and share this screen. So the tip here is if you're struggling to come up with topics, so like, for example, I could put in RV upgrades, and as you can see here, so let's see if I can make this let's solo this. Okay, so RV upgrades. So like, these are all the questions that people, like, here's what comes up, like websites, for example, maybe some blogs, but you also have a couple things. So you have this people also ask section. This is where, if I were you, I would pull out some of these questions. If you're going to write content, put some of these questions in your content, make it a very structured article focusing on that. Now, the other benefit is this: go all the way to the bottom of the page, and Google has this nice little section called searches related to RV upgrades. Again, these are potentially topics that you might want to talk about, or these are parts that would go into your content, whether it's the written content or the video content. This is very, very useful because a lot of people, they overlook this sort of stuff. But if I'm the user and I'm like not seeing what I'm wanting here, instead of going on to the second page, the third page, which are probably just going to be more of the first page, these are going to be, killer RV upgrades. Like, hey, that sounds like something I want to actually check out, because I'm thinking, oh, hey, that's going to be some really awesome upgrades for an RV. So maybe that's a blog post, maybe that's a video, like, hey, here's 50 killer RV upgrades, and you could, live stream that. For example, if you give them a tour of somebody's RV that has all of these, or you could give them, like, that could be like, hey, here's a slideshow that I have of all of these. So I hope that helps.
Okay, sounds good.
That is gold.
Well, awesome. So thanks a lot for joining, Corey. Really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much, guys.
Bye, Corey.
Anytime. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go through some questions real quick here. Let's see what else we got here. So Jaden, we got Jaden, and we got Salamat, and we got Master 8HO. I'm not sure who that is, but we've got Master as well. We'll bring you all on here in a couple of minutes. Any questions you can see, Letitia, on your end?
I see Zane made a good point. I don't know if this is accurate, but he said YouTube don't like people going outside. Have the form before you go live, but once live, don't take them outside. That's a good point.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess the one side to that is if you do that, the benefit to doing the form is that you can also like if you have somebody who's helping you produce your show, it'd be great to have that, because then you can tell them, hey, if you have questions, go to this form and fill it out, and then your moderator can potentially feed those in. So that way you're not having to juggle. So you kind of have to look at how you want to structure the show. But yeah, it is good, whether you do it beforehand or during the show, it's a lot easier beforehand because it helps you shape the show that you're going to do. For example, I know what my show is about I roughly know what it's about every single week. And so then I know it's about, and then I start to get more focused about it on the day of the show. So, yeah. But definitely
I'm the same way.
Okay, so let's bring Jaden on. Jaden, I think you have and by the way, USA Livestream TV, I see you're also there. I'm not sure if you're Carlos or if you're someone else, but feel free to join. And thanks a lot for the super chat. Okay, so let's see. Jaden, so let's bring Jaden on. I think, let's see. Jaden? Hey, how you doing, Jaden?
Good.
Do you have a question, a specific question?
Yes. How do I get monetized fast? Because I am struggling to be monetized.
Well, for starters, what channel are we talking about?
My main channel.
Like YouTube, Facebook, what? Where are we at?
YouTube.
YouTube. So if you want, so the first thing is if you want it, you have to enable monetization on the channel. In order to do that, you're going to need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of continuous watch time. Now, the downside to the 4,000 hours is that like you could be like at 3,900 hours, and then like let's say the next month's just not a good month. You then might drop down to where then you have to actually get more viewers. I think the key thing is creating good content. So create content that people want to watch. And that's partly like if you're in a specific industry, look at what other people in your industry are doing and see if it's something that you can, that maybe you need that type of segment on your channel. Anything you want to add, Letitia?
Right. Yeah, definitely. Especially as like for me, one of my plans for one YouTube channel I just launched is to get people's emails, while they're watching the show somehow, and then like retarget them back to whatever show that I'm about to do next. Like I explained how we have a show coming up next Saturday. All those people who I want to register to watch the show, I want to then remind them to go back to the show. So that's how we're doing it every week, so we can get more hours of time, like you said, the 4,000. I think we have to get 4,000 watch hours within a year, right? It's not like
it's a calendar. It's a rolling 12 months.
Rolling. Yes. So it's the quickest way for me. Our game plan is just to keep retargeting them back, leveraging list building. That's our plan. Because sometimes, you get one person who watch and they love the show, but then they forget. Life happens. But if we're sending them email notifications, text notifications, hey, we're on live, come check us out. That will keep them coming back. And then, normally our shows are for an hour. So, that's one of our game plans.
Yeah. So it's, I will say this. I mean, it's going to be something you're going to have to work at. Like you're not going to just be able to just start the channel and all of a sudden you're making money. That's a big misnomer that a lot of people have with YouTube in general. They think like, oh, hey, influencers are going to, or companies are going to reach out to me. Like if the content's really good, yes. But like, at the beginning, you're going to have to work a lot at it. So I guess they just left. Okay.
And I like how you mentioned with active subs. Like we want to make sure that people are subscribed. Give me 1 second.
Sure. And by the way, Master and Salamat, we'll bring you right on here in a second. And there's a Facebook user that says, hey, are we able to get a live stream review anyway? Yeah, of course. Just join the invite link here. I'll drop that and then just join here, and then I will bring you in as we go through the questions. So, I'm going to let Letitia go through this again. I mean, dealing with how do you deal with distractions on a live stream? This is like life happens, and so like it's sort of planning things out, figuring out the right ways to do things. I mean, a lot of times if you try to live stream, some people will they'll try to force things, and it's like sometimes you just have to do it at a different time, or you have to make it a pre-recorded video versus a live video. So awesome. So you're gonna make a point real quick?
Yeah. So the baby was crying, so I forgot where I was going with what I was saying. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. Okay. No worries at all. So if you think of it, let me know.
I will. I promise.
But I do want to make sure I bring up this one point. I'm going to bring on Master here real quick, and then Salamat, you're going to be next, okay?
Yeah.
So Michael makes a good point. Don't count on YouTube monetization. Have great content, build community. The one thing I can't stress enough to everyone is to build community. Yeah. And that could be like, and don't think like, oh, I have to have 4,000 people or I've got to have 10,000 people. It doesn't matter. If you have 10,000 people and they're active, fantastic.
Yeah.
But if you've got 100 people and they're active and you got 1,000 people and a small percentage are active, you're going to get more out of those 100 people. So you can invest the time into the people that are active. So don't think that you can get all 1,000 to do something, right then and there. It's something that actually will take some time. So
yeah, it's like, you can make money along the way of getting monetized. So people think, oh, once I monetize, I'm going to be making 100K a month. And, I know that that's going around the internet, but that's not really the case. It's just, Thank you, Michael, for making the point.
Awesome. So here's what I'm doing. I see USA live stream TV, gadgets, things. I'm not, you said you're here. I'm not sure if you're backstage. I don't see you backstage, but here's the link to join. Let me drop that as well. Again, But Master, let's go bring on Master. I'm not sure what question we have, so let's bring on Master. Master, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing. Thank you for the link. Thank you for giving me the code. Thank you very much. Very helpful. Me, I'm playing game some ML in the Philippines. I'm from the Philippines.
Yeah, you're from the Philippines. Okay.
Yes. And also, I'm a PW. Dispersion disability.
Yeah.
I am a PWD.
Okay.
All of this disability. Me, I'm a gameplay. I play ML, Mobile Legends. Also, and also I'm blogging. I'm live in Sunday, 8 o'clock a.m. too.
Okay. So do you have a specific question? So you go live. Okay, I heard that.
Yes. But how to share screen to cell phone?
How to share cell phone screen? Good question. Okay, so in StreamYard, is that what we're asking?
Yes.
Okay. Good question, actually. So there's a couple of ways. So one of those is you can use, the easiest way is to use a switcher. To use like a video switcher where you plug your phone into the switcher, you can hit a button and you can easily switch between the two. And that's the easiest way. It's the hardware way. It's the more expensive way. I know Michael Daniels is actually around here too. Let me see if hopefully he's watching. I'm going to have him. He might have another little hack.
Yeah, he'd be very good with that.
You can also, I know another way is I use a tool called Reflector. It's called Reflector 3. It's a piece of software. I'll put a link to that here. So this is one option. So it's a piece of software. That one actually works very well for sharing your screen. I know you can also bring your phone in via QuickTime but I'm not sure that I'm not sure if you're on a PC or Mac, but I know that that's potentially a way. And then based on what Michael said, natively, I know we don't support screen shares from an iPhone from a phone, basically, with the StreamYard software. So like it wouldn't come in necessarily on screen. So that's where like maybe trying like a reflector or something like that would be helpful. Does that help? And then also Yomi is also saying that they use an HDMI Zeta guard switch. So let me see if I can pull up that one. Yeah, you're basically using the HDMI switcher. So again, a hardware option is a pretty easy way to do things. And the hardware switcher, like here, I'll bring this one up. This is about $30-something. That is also, again, we're recommending hardware only because it's a lot easier to do because you have to, it depends on the device you're using. Some of the devices have things where they don't allow you to necessarily access certain features. So for example, they might not allow you to access the screen on the device for that purpose. So, but this is another option. This is the Zeta Guard. This is the 4K when you basically so what you do is you plug in your phone. So your phone would go in via, you need an HDMI to Lightning or HDMI to USB-C or USB micro, I think it is. But you plug HDMI one goes into your computer and the other one goes into your phone as a cable. So this HDMI 4, 3, 2, and 1, these inputs, these are your camera inputs. So you just plug directly into that and that would help you share your screen. So, and Yomi also says switchers are much easier, and I 100% agree. So, okay. Thank you. Thanks for joining, by the way. I'm going to get here to Salamat here. It's a good question. So if you think of any others, just put them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Say salamat. Bye.
So remember, if you want to join us backstage, we're going to do a giveaway, by the way, at the end for some StreamYard merch here. But you could join us backstage. or you can put hashtag ask with your questions and put them in the comments. So I'm going to go and bring on Salamat. Oh, and then actually one real quick comment I want to bring up. NLTMW says, hey, you know what? They recommend Reflector as well. Because again, what that does is it, like if you're using iPhone, for example, it uses Apple's AirPlay technology to go from the phone to the computer and to connect the two. And then all you have to do is bring that application in and it works seamlessly. It's extremely fast. But if you're trying to use mobile, so if you're trying to run your show from mobile, screen sharing is not a feature that we do support on mobile. So you can run the broadcast, but you can't do the screen sharing or the green screen and so forth. Okay. And then let's see, what's this one? Could you please just plug the cell phone PC and use a mobile screen capture software? I mean, I guess you could, but I don't know. Letitia, what do you think about that one?
I saw on another show that StreamYard was hosting that they mentioned that that's not going to support it, but I mean, give it a try, test it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't necessarily go the route of like trying to capture my screen, and the reason is because it also then requires more processing power.
Yeah.
So like it's trying to capture your screen. So if you don't have a good enough video card, here's what's going to happen. It's going to move extremely slow when you're trying to do things. But good question. Okay, so let's bring on Salamat, and then I got a couple. Walter, by the way, do me a favor, just join me backstage. Here's the link here in the chat. So Salamat, thanks for being patient and for joining us. I appreciate it.
Hi, Letitia.
Hi,
Christian.
Hi.
I love you both, and I am a Christian loyal fans. Okay, so I have a question.
Sure.
I am stuck. I am so stuck for almost a year. I am into marketing. Okay, I am into marketing. I am into small business, but for some reason, I get stuck to the same circle. All they want is sub to sub. So my question is that since I have noticed that you are into marketing also, how can I actually get the circle of marketing people or into small business? Because I just can't find the people that I am trying to reach, because I have created my channel actually in the beginning, electronic gadget and things. So when I say electronic and gadget and things, it's fall into electronic, all the gadget that actually we use as a blogger or creator or YouTuber. So it didn't work in the beginning because I just couldn't find the people who are into the gadget that actually, like, for example, those YouTuber who appeared in the screen, your guest said that what kind of electronic that you use, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I am into that kind of niche, but I don't have the people that I am trying to attract. All they want is come into the live stream, sub for sub, and I keep saying this is actually a networking organic, not sub to sub. But I just can't find the people. What do I need to do according for me to explore? Because you know how, the way I understand the YouTube works on this community, it's almost like a pyramid, okay? It's almost like a pyramid. For example, I met you, and then I met Letitia, and then through Letitia, me, and then all actually trickle down. But I couldn't find the people who are like, I want to actually follow my dreams, which is I am into small business. I want to actually blog about business. But the people, as far as the audience wise, I can't connect, or I don't know where to find them. And I tried to do the tag. You know how you mentioned you have to tag, like, for example, small business, and you Google a search and you have to connect the that. But I just couldn't get out. I'm still in the circle of sub to sub.
Yeah. So what you're doing now is probably way too broad. You have to niche down. So I'm glad you mentioned like how YouTube is like a pyramid. So now what you have to do is you have to become a funnel. So I had the same issue last year where I am a sales and remote business strategist, but my content was too broad. I was like in a big ocean. Really, I wanted to make it, I want to like funnel my followings to a lake. So I went out, I polled my groups, I polled my community. I said, hey guys, what is the main challenge you guys are struggling with right now? And they said list building. So I was like, a light bulb went in my head. I was like, you know what? That's what I've been talking about for years, but I'm also was adding other entities onto that. So now I only talk about list audience building. I niched it down. Once they get into my world, I will expose everything else. But maybe your topics, your conversations is too broad. So you're going to attract those people that want to, again, do sub for sub or want to sort of like get like what's in it for me type of thing. So now that all my platforms are specific to one particular challenge, now more people are coming to me for that challenge. And once they become a client, then we open up everything else to them. So think about what your main audience, what are they really looking for when it comes to your particular zone of genius, and niche it down. Niche it down. Say, okay, I teach this. I'm very well versed at that. But which one of these are my audience is really searching for right this very second? And then talk about that.
But since I am Asian American, this is a funny situation. If I try to speak English, which I'm pretty sure both of you know, I have a thick accent. They won't allow me to speak English. Then I am an outsider. But if I try, and if some people was like, okay, according for me to be in their circle, I have to be Asian. But I keep explaining to them, I am Asian, but I was raised in America, so I have to speak English. But then when I try to speak English, they do not want me to be around in their circle. Because they're like, well, you look Asian. What the heck you're speaking English for? I was like, well, let me introduce to you this business that I learned in America. Okay, so everybody wants to make extra money, right? Monetization. Like, it's just the only thing that I can say that gravitate, and this is why I gravitate to Christian, because he is, I am into your passion, I am into your niche. So in my circle, even though I'm trying to bring up the funnel, like trying to bring them in, hey, come, listen to me, because this is true. I learned this from Ziegler and Ziegler. Let me tell you, I learned this from Tim Robbins, but they just I just couldn't. I mean, I feel like I am Asian, my body, but my mind. That's why when they asked me, what are you? Who are you? I was like, I'm Black Asian. So they don't actually venture out. And my thing is, I'm thinking, okay, I was like, Christian, Leticia, Nick Nimmons, Darrell Eves, Brian G. Johnson, all this big deal, okay? I've been watching all of you. And I was like, this is the type of, what do you call, this is the type of journey that I want to venture out, okay? But the Asian in my people, I just couldn't bring them into the business. No matter what I do, they're like, I am only here to sub. And I was like, yeah, I know, but we have to build community. I just want sub to sub. And this is why I was like, there must be a way to get to that algorithm. You know how when you type the tag, so that I can go in multicultural, you know, because I am stuck in just one community. And what I was thinking, how can I get the American people get into my live stream? Because very few American, and I was like, there must be something that I need to know the secret. Because, for example, Leticia go live or you live, I got it. Okay, I am here. But when I do live, it's nothing but Asian, no American, and they don't want, I mean, they are stubborn. I don't want that. I just want sub for sub. And I was keep explaining, according for you to have, like, I have to explain to them, it's really hard to be in between, because I try to explain, according for you to become successful, we have to work hard because we have no name yet. What we need to do is plant the seeds, encourage people to come in, let's build a community, and then we can venture out with monetization. Don't worry about monetization because it will come. The more you do live stream, the more watch hour you're gonna gain. But they are so fast that they just don't want to deal with it. So now what I want, well, actually I have wrote it down, because you said produce the show, but maybe if if, of course, nothing is free. I understand that nothing is free. Even if I have to actually pay someone to be in the live stream to start me, to get away. It's like, I was like, I have so much talent that I want to share, because I believe that in this country, I mean, in America, I have lived here for 35 years. If you set your mind, believe me or not, if you set your mind and put it to your head, there's no way you can fail. It's all about, but the one thing that I need to really get the question that I am trying to get from Christian and Leticia is that, how can I get out the circle to be able to venture out? Because I am only have like Asian, but there's no American. But then when I have what do you call that, into small business, that is what I want, is small business network. I want serious who needs life, because believe me or not, in America, you can become whoever you want to be. It's all about hard work. And I never let this saying, if you truly want it, have persistence, determination, work hard. But I said to myself, I've been working so hard and I invest. Believe me or not, I have my own studio in the other room. But I just couldn't get the crowd of the marketing people who are into marketing.
So I got a couple of points here. I guess I'm reading through the comments, and maybe these aren't even my points actually. So quite a few here actually. And so Leticia, feel free to bring some of these up. So for starters, the first thing I'd say is like, you may want to like write some content. So get people coming to your website. For example, if it's really good content, people aren't necessarily they don't really care who writes it.
Exactly.
They want, like, whether that content is written content or it's live stream content with written content, they don't really care who writes it. If it's good information, then I think they'll be into that. To Michael Daniel's point here, he suggests finding Google Trends for specific products or gadgets. So again, like, you have to kind of, in a way, do your own thing and not necessarily worry about what other people are thinking. If you're just doing it, for example, if you're just doing it on YouTube, then maybe you need to combine that with something else. And what I mean by that is, if you're doing a video on YouTube, create a blog post. So here's the benefit there. When you create that blog post, maybe your blog post will get, ranked by Google. It also then can have the video come up, so you could start to rank two pieces of content. And then YouTube uses, or Google/YouTube, they use those as signals. So if people are watching your videos, they're engaging with it, then they might start to show your video content over on their channel to more people. So that's the first thing. And Leticia, feel free to jump in here. I'm just reading through.
Well, I think a lot of it is with identity, and I can relate to what you're saying. When I first started in business, when I first started in this world of marketing, there was no Black representation, no girls, no women that look like me. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be the girl to get out there, the woman to get out there and start being that Black representation. And that's what you have to do. And it's a process. It's not and I know you know this, it's not something that's an overnight thing. But when you get, I really need to get more of identification of what you do. And I know you could reach out to me and Christian later on, but it's really identifying who exactly you want to help. Is your offer going to help them, and become that representation of, whether you feel what I am the representation of the agent community, not the full agent, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I had to do, because I was just like you in the beginning, like, okay, there's no women that look like me. So is there a position or place for us out there to make money online? And I was like, no, dang that. I'm just going to show up. I'm going to hit the go live button. I'm going to go live from my car. I was going live 3, 4, 5 times a day. And then more people who look like me started to really catch on. And then my message ended up, scaling. So it's really about that, your identity of saying, you know what? If I want to reach American market, I'm going to reach it. I'm going to be myself. For me, I said, if I want to tap into this market, being a woman of color, I'm just going to show up and I'm going to do what? I'm going to dominate it. So it is a process. It's not something that happened, overnight for me, but I just started to show up in that way, and not look at the fact that there was no one like me that was at the top at that time. Now there's so many of us out there that it's just like, but I just didn't look at all those. I think a lot of it's in your head, but most of it is you just getting out there and then being specific to a particular topic or challenge that you want to solve for someone, and then just continuously talking about that over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah.
And last question, I had mentioned, Christian have mentioned, actually, I have heard him say twice already that the giveaway, like, for example, I'm just using this as an example. I read in the policy of YouTube to give away something, you have to have at least a permit. Is that really true that you need to have a permit? But for example, if you're just giving a cup, right? Like, for example, just a mag, I don't think YouTube will penalize you, right? So I just want to make sure that I'm doing everything by the T according to YouTube, because it's very, very strict now. So because according for people to really get involved with, for example, like Leticia was saying, that you have to start from, like I said, it has the different process, but according for to get the people who really want to stay in for a few minutes or whatever, you need to have a giveaway, like something to gravitate for them, that, oh, I am here because, it's worth it. I am watching her. She's into this, blah, blah, blah. So I want to give away some t-shirt or cups. Actually, I have my own cups over there with my name of my channel. So I'm ready.
Yeah. So
I just want to have my business. I don't know what it is. I want a business, but like I said, I am into marketing and I want to invest, because of course you can't make money without, but I just don't know anything. I almost done Amway long time ago, Mary Kay. I did everything, all the marketing, and the Bitcoin is a little bit far-fetched for me because it's very hard, to really hold it. So I am looking for marketing. I am looking for something that I can say, hey, I am doing this and I want you to focus. That way, it has a solid structure for my live stream, that I am really in that position. Because if you just talking and blogging, people be like, yeah, right. How people there sometimes doubt. So I want something solid that I can use.
But that's a question that you have to answer. Like, it's about what do you want to talk about? What do you want to teach? What do you want to offer? What industry?
Small business and marketing. Like I am.
But that's broad. That's broad, Mama. That's
you got to definitely niche down.
Yeah.
I'd say this. Just looking at a couple of comments even in here. Let me find this real quick. So, like, for starters, it's some of it's being. I don't say you're doing things the wrong way.
No.
But some people, like, you have to be smart. Like, so for example, let's just use an example. If you're just like walking, you're walking along at the pace that you want to walk, right? If you're running, you control the pace as well. Okay. So you can run faster. For example, you get somewhere faster. Now, let's say you want to take bigger leaps. How do you hop? So or how do you take one big step instead of like 10 steps to get there? And Bonnie makes a good point here. Let me find it actually real quick. Bonnie says that you may need to partner, for example, with other YouTube broadcasters. Like that might be a good place to start. Partner with people, or like so one thing you can do is you can go to somebody's YouTube channel, and you can go to the about section. Again, so like if you're doing a YouTube live, let's say you're not getting any viewers, and you want to try to get more people, what you can do is you can go. Say you find someone, you're like, hey, that might be a person I want to reach out to. Don't go in there with the expectation that like, hey, they're going to be on my show, but don't be afraid to ask either. Now, if you go to their YouTube channel, there is a section on a channel, and it's the about section. So if you go to someone's channel, let me see if I can pull some of this up.
So it means I have hope. I can ask Leticia or you.
No, definitely. And I'll show you this. I'll show you this real quick here, and then I'm going to make sure we got a couple more people with questions. So I'm going to share the YouTube channel here, and so what you're going to see here. This is, for example, this is the StreamYard YouTube channel, and so if you go to the channel, and this is across all the channels. So if you go to this about section here on the right, and you scroll down here, what will happen sometimes if somebody, for example, has put their email address in here, you can click and verify the person's email within here. So like in this case, we don't have the email visible, but you will see this on certain people's channels. So you may want to go and find a channel. Like I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't go for the top channel. Like, oh, they got 100,000 subscribers. Yeah, you could reach out to them, but chances are they may not really want to help you. Look for people that are a little bit more of the low hanging fruit. Reach out to them via this link, for example, or go on their social media channels and ask them like, hey, I'm interested in, seeing if maybe we can work together and see if you can, for example, maybe you co-host on their show, and that's a good way to get you to get kind of some footing and then do that for a while and then use that as a springboard. But you do need to do what Letitia said, which is you need to niche down. So like when you say, hey, I want to help small businesses. Okay. You want to help small businesses do what types of small businesses, for example, like you're going to have to get more concrete with what you're going to do it about. And as far as live streaming goes, I mean, again, live streaming is a vehicle. So, if you're like, hey, I'm going to, like, let's say you're into dentistry. Okay. And you're like, hey, I'm going to start a YouTube channel about teaching, all about dentistry and explaining like maybe common questions people have about like the types of teeth, different, braces, do they help, all that sort of stuff. Right. And I realize that sort of gets into orthodontists as well, but getting into that angle. So then people know exactly what they're going to get on your channel. So it could be, hey, I'm doing marketing for dentists. And then that's where you can, share some of your information via live stream or a pre-recorded video, either one, that you want to use. And then these are ways for you to then start to get your footing as the go-to person for marketing for dentists. Does that make sense?
Yes. And
versus, hey, I want to do all marketing. Because otherwise you're going to be all marketing. You're going to try to do all marketing and you're going to kind of be running yourself ragged in a way.
Yes, you're right. So, excellent. Thank you. You answered it.
So hopefully that helps.
Yes, it helps.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Thanks a lot for joining.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. So let me see if there's any other questions here. So, and then one last point, by the way, if she's still watching, greetings. All you need to be is genuine. So find something you're good at, be the best you can be. Somebody else will pay you to do it. Absolutely true. Don't short yourself just because, you don't have 100,000 YouTube subscribers or something. It takes hard work. Like a lot of people think it's really easy. And it's not at all. I mean, the only way some people get there faster is they take shortcuts, and those shortcuts are they partner, for example, with people versus finding ways to get around doing the hard work. So, and then just believe in what you're doing and having passion, never giving up. Absolutely. Okay. So I got two more people. I'm going to bring on Xavier here. Xavier, just tell us who you are, what your channel's about, your live stream, and then what your challenge or issue is. And then Walter, I know you have a couple questions. See a nice green screen or blue screen in the background now. So Xavier, thanks a lot for joining us.
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear. Yeah, just fine. How you doing?
Awesome. Yeah, no, this is really, really cool. So I started using StreamYard like a couple weeks ago, and this is a really, really cool thing that you guys do just for people to be able to ask their questions and for you to review it. And it shows that you're using the platform itself. So like if it's going right for you guys, it could go right for everybody else. So this is really cool. I just wanted to shout that out. So my show is called A Pretty Normal Podcast. It started off as an audio podcast, started to move it more towards YouTube just because I'm a video editor. So I wanted to incorporate more video into it. Right now we focus on politics and then collage art. So it's kind of like I'm trying to find the niche still between politics and where art and culture and all that like intertwines or whatever. So right now what I've been doing is for my guests, I've been having like clips where we'll watch it because it's politics oriented. You want to talk about the news, and streaming I think is a good way to talk about news as it's happening. You don't have to like wait for that record and then publish. What would be the best way to, I guess, have you and your guests see it at the same time? Would it be to like screen share from YouTube, or would it be better to download it, rip it, and then edit out the part? That way you're not, I guess, using YouTube.
Let's see. So the first thing is it going to be audio? Is there going to be any audio in the video you're going to be playing?
Yeah, so most likely. So it would be like, this speech happened today, or this happened on the news. Let's watch it and then talk about it.
So one thing you're going to have to be careful with on that, if I were doing that, I would actually mute the audio. The reason I would do that is because if you don't unmute it, YouTube might consider it copyright. Mm-hmm. And so they could flag it. I've had things happen before where I've played, like I talk about social media news, and I played a video of a Snapchat feature that had come out, and I got flagged for that. So, you do have to kind of keep that in mind if you're like if you're trying to use some monetization tactics and whatnot, they will potentially flag it. And then depending on how many times you get flagged, it's not a good thing.
It's such a strange thing though, because I watch a bunch of YouTubers that like talk about politics and stuff, and they'll play the video clip, and then so like they're running, and I never understand like what is the gray zone and where you get in trouble with that.
Yeah, and that's the odd thing. There is a gray zone, but I'm not exactly sure like what it is, and I say that because it tends to vary. It could happen for one person, it may not happen for someone else. So you are going to have to you're going to have to be careful with that part. Now if it were me, what I would do is I would almost like grab just the clip, remove the audio from it, and then you can just talk about what it is maybe and like link off to it. Because again, I mean, the toughest part is like when you share it, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if YouTube's going to flag it. They may not flag it till after the fact. So, you put all this effort into it and then they get flagged. I'm not saying it's going to happen or not. So that's what I would do. And I would use the screen share feature. So I'd use the screen share feature. That's going to bring you up, and then it's going to put, for example, on the side of the screen, like you'll be on the sides, and then maybe your topic could be in the middle. What I also do is I like to solo it. So like, for example, I might solo you like I'm doing now, and then I would have it where so that the solo would be like the screen share, and then I would be behind it, able to talk over it. So as long as you and your guest are in there and unmuted. So that's what I would do.
Cool.
So,
all right. Yeah, that's a tricky one, just because like all the YouTubers, like that is literally how they run their shows, is by talking about news clips. And like I never know if it's because it's news and you're commenting on the news, how it works. But thank you for the advice.
And I wish I could give you concrete advice, but I just don't know because it tends to vary between. I mean, I shared what I thought was valid, a video that was on YouTube, but hey, it got flagged. So
yeah.
All right. Second question.
Yes, I did. So now the next thing I want to do, like meetups essentially, where people do collaging together. I'd like to somehow have two cameras. What I was thinking of doing was, I guess, sending a link to my cell phone and then having that as a second user, and then just positioning that as like a second camera. Is there a better way to do it, or what do you think about that?
That's what I would use if I have the device already around. Going back to the point made earlier in the show where, the person talked about, Zane talked about using what you have. So if you've got an extra smartphone lying around, send the link to yourself, position that camera where you want it to be. That's a great way to use that. There's also an app. I don't know if you're an iOS user, but it's called Overviewer. And that might be.
But what does it do? What does it do?
So basically, like if you're like, for example, if you're a teacher and you want to show something, you've got your main camera here, you have to like this app basically lets it connect to the computer, and then it lets you share your screen, like what's coming from the camera. So it might be worth checking out, something like that as well. And also Reflector, again, same thing. That's another way to bring in, that's a screen share option. But I like the idea. If it were me, I personally would set up the camera, the smartphone, send the link to the smartphone. It will come into your StreamYard dashboard as a camera feed, and then you can just switch between the two. Or you can have that as the main thing, and you could have that up, and then you could be on the side talking about it. Now, one other little tip I want to give you here is if you have an old pair of headphones, plug it into the headphone jack of the second camera.
Okay.
And you can cut the cord if you want to. The reason you do that is because, or maybe for starters, just plug it into the jack. The reason is because it shuts off the microphone. Otherwise, even though you put the volume down, it doesn't always mute the smartphone.
The feedback. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then my last question, is there any plans on making it? So I know right now you can do up to 30-second videos, but it's only MP4. Is there any thoughts on also being able to host .mov? Because I know then you could do transparent overlays. You could do like lower thirds and stuff.
I can put it as a feature request. I know we get a lot of people asking for that as well. So only thing I could do is just put it as a feature request. And
cool.
I don't know. I don't do the development side, so I don't know how hard it is for them to implement that. But it seems like it's a pretty easy thing. So hopefully they'll let us know when we're going to come out with that. So
awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. Those were all my questions, and I love what you guys are doing. I love StreamYard, and it's been great. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Thanks a lot for watching.
All right, cool. See ya.
See ya. Okay. So Walter's got some questions, and real quick before I bring Walter in, Michael makes a couple of points here. Don't take the chance. This is like if you're sharing audio, for example, on a live stream. Don't share the audio just because like, oh, it happened, someone else used it, so I should be okay. Follow the rules as much as you can, because you don't want your channel shut down. I mean, that could be not just the revenue side, but it's a lot of things that can happen. So just be very mindful of that. So it may not happen to you, or it may not happen to you for 6 months until it happens to your channel. So keep that in mind. Okay, so let's go and bring on Walter. Walter, I know you had a couple of questions.
Hey, good evening. Good evening. Yeah, right. Good afternoon, everyone. How we doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing good. I want to thank you for the StreamYard gifts that you sent.
You're very welcome.
Those. I had made a point to wear my StreamYard gift, but got caught into wearing my Nautica polo shirt. So my apologies, because I had a show to do early this morning. So I tend to try to stay with the brand and everything. Good afternoon, Letitia. How we doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Oh, I hear the mommy thing going in the background, so understand. So a couple questions for you all. I wrote them down on my notepad here. So the first one is going to deal with ear monitoring headphones. I know you touched on this a couple of weeks ago. I put something in your Facebook chat. I was looking at what's called the BASA Professional Ear Monitoring headphones. I'm not sure if you're familiar with those.
Okay.
I think roughly about $60. Want to kind of get your feedback on those, because today is Amazon purchasing day. So I was looking to purchase me some ear monitoring. I'm moving away from these big headphones here.
So which model are you looking at?
It says here on Amazon. Let me just open my screen up over here. It says the BASA Professional Ear Monitoring Headphones for single drummers, musicians. It's for roughly about $59. What's the model?
Are they wired or wireless?
They look like they're wired, so they have some wires connected into it.
So I'd say this. I mean, I think that, let me go back to this view real quick. I think so I'm using wired ones as well. I think these are Sennheisers. I think I paid like $70-$80. I'd say, I mean, you'd want to test them out. I mean, see if you like them. I tend to go with some of the more name brand models only because what's the word? I go with more of the name brand models because I know like the quality that I'm going to get.
Okay.
The quality, and the other thing is the warranty side. But I mean, again, if you're just using, I mean, they're basically if you think about it like this, they're just headphones. You're plugging them in, and then they just, in this case, they go in your ear, so you can't actually see. Or for the most part, they make clear ones as well. So you put them there, and they don't look like that on camera. Like, oh, I got headphones on. And in this case, these are running like down my like sweatshirt here. But you are going to also, if they're wired, the other thing you're going to want to get is you're going to want to get an extension cord for your headphone jack, because otherwise you're going to be like, it's a short cable usually. So, but I mean, I think here's the thing. If it were me, I would test them out. I'd get them, see if you like them. And then if you don't like them, go from there. But like I said, I can recommend some other ones as well if you want.
Sure. I mean, if you wouldn't mind dropping that in the Facebook Messenger chat, maybe a link, that would be definitely great. Like I said, I tend to, if the ones that you're using are good, and you're telling me only an extra $10-$20 and they're wireless, then I'll probably just go with those versus trying something and then turn around and go back into the well and have to redo it again. And then I got a free extra. And again, it's nothing wrong with having an extra pair or anything, but if what you're sharing, and Letitia, are you using the same kind, or are you using a different?
No, I'm actually going to get the ones Christian has, because again, it's just for the sound, so I can hear you guys. This I just have because the kids do remote learning, so I just stole theirs.
Oh, bad mommy. Number two, and you touched on this earlier with an early question, docking station. So I have a second monitor that I need to hook up. I have a Toshiba laptop. Now I noticed you mentioned a docking station, and you mentioned something about an Apple. See, I'm in the PC world. I didn't go over to the dark side of the Mac world. What's a good recommendation on a good docking station that works with a Toshiba laptop and a Dell monitor?
What is it? USB-C primarily? USB-A? What do we got?
That I don't know. because I'm basically hooking an HDMI cable from the monitor.
Okay.
For the second monitor I have right now, I just have an HDMI cable running from that, and then I have the power cord powering up the monitor, the Dell monitor.
So I'll say this. I mean, the main ones that people are going to get, a lot of people like the CalDigit ones, and then the other ones, the CalDigit, and there's also an Anchor one as well. Those both work extremely well. The caveats to both of those types of docking stations, those are Thunderbolt docks. So that's one thing you kind of have to look at. Like, are you a Thunderbolt user, or how's it connecting to your computer? So if you're telling me like, hey, I'm not using USB, like, they're expensive. But the main thing is because it's the speed, it's the ports, and so forth. I mean, even if you went with if you didn't go with CalDigit, you went with like a Targus, for example, they're also expensive. Like the CalDigit ones are about $200 to $250.
Right.
What is this one? The Anchor one is $250. These are powered docks, and then you can go with some other brands as well. Like the Targus ones are about $100. They're $105 up to like $400 actually, depending on what you want to do.
Right, because I'm trying to prevent hooking everything up into the laptop. Right now, I have the HDMI going into the side of the laptop, and now you introduce another monitor or some other things. That's all pulling on your laptop, and at the same time, you're doing live stream using StreamYards and everything. So I'm trying to prevent. I just recently read on an article that Toshiba basically has really stopped making laptops. They've kind of
because they're no longer
so I'm trying to do that. So I'll definitely look at that. Targus is something I'm familiar with. I've even looked at a Dell docking station, but again, looks like the price range is $150 to almost $300. So I'm like, okay, I have to put that on my wish list.
Let me pull this up real quick. Let's see how this looks. So I'll show you guys like the Targus one, for example, that's here. So, and the reason I was mentioning these, okay, so like the great thing about the way these work is they're powered. So meaning you're plugging into an outlet. So for example, you've got the power outlet here. So that's what's going to run all of this. Now, the thing you have to start looking at are the ports. So this one, for example, I think is $192. And it's USB A, AAA. So there's some A's. There's a USB-C port, an Ethernet port, and then you've got video stream A. This is HDMI, and then mini display port and HDMI and mini display port. So so this is this model, for example. But you do have to look at, and in addition to that, by the way, the sides there's a USB, I think that's a USB-C on the side. Looks like a USB-C on the side. There's also a headphone port there as well. But what you have to look at is this. When you're adding like a docking station of something like this, the hardest part is it's the connections you're using. So if I'm, for example, plugging in, like if I need HDMI, some of these docking stations will work great. But if I'm somebody that uses a DisplayPort, then I'm going to need a DisplayPort HDMI adapter or something like that. So you kind of have to know what equipment you have now and sort of plan out a little bit, because docking stations, as I mentioned, they don't seem like they're very cheap.
Right.
And so the challenge with that is, if I'm using like HDMI monitors right now, when do I think I'm going to upgrade to USB-C? Because I want to try to get as much life out of that docking station.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Okay. So
makes sense. Okay. It's a great way to approach it, because like I said, right now it's just one is going into the laptop, the other one is kind of sitting here just for appearance to just look real good. And I'm like, I really want to get this third monitor up. So definitely gave me some homework. Letitia, a question from you from an e-marketing question standpoint. Been loving the shows you're doing this week.
Thank you.
I took a look at my MailChimp account. Haven't really used it in a while. And I noticed, it has my old address on it. And so I was watching a video and it was saying that you have to kind of have an address on it. Like, I'm not really interested in updating my address on that. So talk to me a little about Constant Contact. Do they kind of require the same thing where you have to have a PO box or a business address?
Well, yeah, you could Facebook message me, but you can get a address. Like I have mine through Regis. Okay. So I have my business address. It's not like an actual address, but people can send me stuff through that. So it serves the same purpose as a PO box. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, most of these autoresponders, you do need to have an address. You can't. There's no get around with that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because I've been really using my email marketing strategy in terms of promoting the, my live streams. So I had a special guest on, and find out this guy's from the Toastmasters group, and so I really leaned into the email marketing. The only thing is, I'm doing it by group email or one-to-one, and I'm like, okay, I really need to get into my MailChimp, and it's like, we want you to update your address, and I'm like, you know what, you guys have made so many changes to this thing, I don't even want it anymore. So I just kind of just closed the account. So I just wanted to kind of get your female feedback on that, because I can understand what I think your second guest before the last one, wanting to try to reach out to individuals to connect. I realize you got to do a lot of networking. You got to really lean on email marketing. You got to connect with individuals, like we've kind of connected with one another. And I think that's the only way you're going to grow your YouTube channel, grow your platform. And so that's the reason why I wanted to ask you that question. The last question, Kristen, is in terms of zooming in and zooming out with StreamYards, because I've kind of watched you. I've watched a couple other individuals. So kind of share some tips and tools on, especially when you have the guests like we have here on a way of good, zooming in and out to be able to enhance the stream.
So for example, like one thing I always try to do is, before I'm going to actually go live, I try to test the content I'm going to share. So like, let's say I brought up an image in a Google tab or something like that. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to bring that into the stream. I'm going to show people. So I kind of have to think, for example, the easiest way is just to do a screen share, but then I could also just make that an overlay. Like if it's a graphic, does that make sense? So like I could download it and then put it in my StreamYard dashboard under the brand section. If I go under, for example, the overlays, I can add it as an overlay. Now that might be easier because then I could just click. For example, I've got a couple overlays here I'm going to pull up. For example, like here's a quick little overlay tip. Hey, if you have a spare smartphone, you can repurpose it while adding another camera angle to your broadcast. Just send yourself the link and join, and it'll bring it into your dashboard. So for example, that's an easy way to bring up an overlay. It's just a simple click, right? But if it's something like, if it's like an article or things like that, and I want to be able to scroll and have some interaction, what I might do instead is I might open that tab and share it, but I want to make sure that I know kind of how it kind of works. So like, how does it look on screen? And, for example, sometimes if I need to zoom in or get a bigger, say I want to take up more of the screen in StreamYard, what I'll do is then I'll drag my window. And when I drag my window out based on what I'm sharing, it will zoom in and take up more of the screen, for example.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. But I guess I was speaking more in terms of guests, like right now, the way you can spotlight me where I'm speaking by myself, but I find when I'm the guest, I'm not as up close as say you and Letitia, and I'm going, what am I? Do I have to continue to play with my background? I'm sitting up as close to the table as I can. So is there a zoom in, zoom feature I need to work on myself as the host? I was speaking more in terms of that aspect.
Okay. So I'd say part of it is positioning the camera. So I'm not sure how far your camera is, but like mine is like, what is this? Maybe about a foot and a half from me. So but it depends on also the lens that I have. So for example, I'm using a mirrorless DSLR here. So for example, mine doesn't have zoom. So what I have to do is I have to make sure I'm close enough to it, and then I have my background fill in the rest. But if I'm using a webcam, webcams also so the fix for the mirrorless DSLR camera is I just need to add a lens that has a zoom feature. Like I got a fixed lens. So, but if I got the one that is that does offer zoom, then I could then adjust that lens and zoom in on myself, for example. Now on the flip side, if I'm using a webcam, if I'm using like a built-in webcam, I may want to check if there's a utility that their webcam offers. Some of them offer utilities, some of them do not. And then on the flip side of that, so that's one. And then on the flip side, some of the webcams offer utilities, like Logitech offers one. So you may want to download the Logitech webcam option and see if the zoom will work. For the most part, I honestly don't really mess with the zoom much. What I prefer to do is I try to get myself close enough to the camera, and that might mean, for example, even if it's a webcam. So let's say your webcam does not offer, let's say, like, what kind of camera are you using, I guess?
I'm using a Speedo webcam.
Okay,
STEDAL cam, because what happened was the Logitechs, remember back in the in the summer, it was such a high demand, they were literally they were not available. And then I came across the Speedo, it's the wide angle one, not the ultra one, but the wide angle one. And I've been using that one ever since. But I noticed with this one, it doesn't provide me the zoom. I don't know if I need to and I have a keyboard in front of it, so it's one of those remote keyboards and, wireless. And maybe I remove that one from it and bring the laptop closer. Yeah. So that was just something I've noticed in a couple of my live stream. I guess they're up and close. Yeah. They're not using cameras. They're just using regular webcams from their laptops.
Yeah. So what some people also, so if they're just using the wire, like the laptop, one thing they could do is one thing you'd have to do is you'd have to move that laptop towards you, to get that camera. So if it's the built-in webcam, you'd have to, you only have so much. You'll have to position yourself properly, get some books, for example, get it at the right height, so that, and then know where you need to look. For example, my camera has a monitor on the top. And if I look at that right now, you can see that I'm looking at the monitor, but I have to make sure that I'm looking in the lens. So, so that's one trick. Now, the other flip side to that also is, so a couple of points here. So Michael said, hey, you can use an old smartphone and you can convert those to a webcam. There's some webcam utilities such as, it's called Camo. You can use that. It's a paid app, but it will let you use your smartphone as a webcam, and then you can pinch and zoom on that. In addition to that, though, the other thing that you may want to consider, because I looked at that webcam, it looks like it can be put on a tripod. Now, there's different types of tripods. There's the standard 3-leg tripod that you put away from you, like a ring light is on or something like that. Then there, for example, my camera is literally on a tabletop mic stand right now. So it's on a stationary mic stand, so it doesn't move. I have to move the whole thing towards me. Does that make sense?
So
now, there's a third option though, and the third option is to get a mount that is that has a threading for your camera. And so the way that would work is, for example, it would telescope in and out. So it goes up and then it can telescope in and out. So it can do, for example, if it telescopes up, you could use it for like if your camera, for some cases, you can look down on something. If you're hey, I want to show how I'm doing something with my hands, people can see that. Or you can tilt it back, and then that allows you to take the camera and move it towards you to compensate for that zoom option. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah. Since you mentioned that you interview guests, do you want to play with their zooming? That's what also you mentioned, or just yours?
Just mine, because I noticed from time to time as the host, they're in a good camera, and I think what really made me pay attention to it more is from time to time I watch CNN, and I'm not for sure if you're familiar with Caitlin Collins, who's a news anchor on CNN, and I watch even when she's on screen and maybe they're speaking to another guest, but her camera presentation in terms of how she looks, it's just, and I realize they're probably using a completely different type of camera than we are. Don't get me wrong.
That's full production.
Right. That's full production. But what impresses me about her is that even when she's not speaking, the camera angle in terms of her presence, it's just pristine. It's clear. And I'm like, there's got to be a way of leveling it up on live streaming. I watch Nick Nimmin and I see Roberto Break. I watch, you, Kristen. I watch Letitia. And, we're in our living rooms, and I'm like, what do I have to do to get it to that level? I may not be able to put out that type of money, but I should be able to get it the most out of this webcam before getting a Canon M50 or something else. So that way it's at that level. That's the goal I'm at. Before it was get more subscribers, get more, I said, you know what? If I just continue to put great content, work on my my tools and my trade and stuff that I'm doing, that stuff will come natural.
It will. I like this view, actually. Me personally, I like to be further away from the camera. That's why you guys see me more further away. Christian likes to be up close. But yeah, I think it's just preference. It all depends on what type of view you like for yourself. Like even when I do interviews, I tell the person who's interviewing me, please have me more further away. Like, don't zoom in on me, worry about, because then people get, oh, I love your eyes, I love this, which is great, but then it's pulling away from what I'm saying. So I'd rather them see the whole ensemble than seeing me right up close on the camera.
Gotcha.
And a couple of quick points here, by the way. So I'm going to share this with you. So this, for example, is the mount that I was talking about, the Archon mount. Mm-hmm. So, for example, there are some Amazon ones as well. I don't know if this is the same. Like, I'm not sure if the Amazon one's the same. I don't think it's the same. It's not the same brand. But for example, the way this one works, as you can see. So let's see. So this one, let's see if I can zoom. So they have so it mounts to like a desk, and then it has this telescoping pole that goes up, and then it can go out. And then in this case, it looks like I think it has a ball head. So it allows you so it can be multiple purposes. Actually, it can shoot down. Now, this one also includes adapters as well, though. You have to think about like the big picture. So the good thing about something like this is it's not just one mount. It's one structure, but then I'm able to attach different heads to it to do different things. For example, to connect a DSLR, to connect a tablet, to connect a smartphone, or maybe I have one of each on my desk or something. So it includes those mounts, but the thing is, it does give you the ability to, as you can see, like you put a DSLR on this, yeah, fantastic. But if you put on like a webcam is going to be super lightweight. So you'll want to kind of test that a little bit and see if it works, but pretty easy to do, pretty easy to use. But that's something to consider. I mean, like I said, that one's about $130. So that's the only downside to it is mounts are or can be expensive, but you do kind of want to plan some of them out. So there's lots of options.
See, I have the switch pot.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I do a lot of my recording on my iPhone, and I have an additional ball head with it. So I know the webcam has the ability to be mounted on the switch pot. So that's something I will try. I think today I just had my ring light to my left, just for more, because I'm right in front of the window. I just redid my whole desk. I have more lighting now. So that's something I'm going to have to play with, but maybe putting the switch pod, the webcam on the switch pod and working with it that way.
Right.
So that's
so you want to, so I definitely think the key thing is the arm. And then it's like, I'm going to use the same example. It's a microphone arm, for example. I have a microphone arm right here, and this is attached to my desk, and this is supporting this microphone. However, if I had a different type of microphone, maybe I don't want this in front of me. I have a tabletop microphone as well that I was previously using, and I've now used it for the camera, and the mic stand. The mic is now being mounted to the arm, so I have two different options I can kind of switch between.
I want to go like a different route, because I want to figure out how I can have the camera coming a stand that's from the floor. So when I'm like banging, you see how my camera moves?
Yep.
I don't like my camera on the desk. That's the part. I need to find something to where it comes up from the floor.
And that's where maybe what you'll have to do. So you may be able to take that one that I showed there, and you may be able to like take parts of it. For example, it's mounting to a desk. Maybe you can take the bottom piece, and some of them have it where it can be replaced and put on a tripod. The hardest part is, the hardest part about that is making sure then you have a good tripod, because it does need to be able to support that weight of not just in that case, it's not the camera. It needs to support the arm, because if you put the tripod down and your arm goes up and out, for example, that's potentially going to pull it forward. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. That's a good tip.
So,
follow-up question then, like the switch pod, that's like my workhorse, because I also understood with that switch pod, once I upgrade from using my iPhone and I'm looking at the Canon N50 as a potential camera to get, do they have any additional mounts or adapters you can maybe connect with the switch pod, so I can then as an arm connector?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I don't think they offer that. Like,
I don't know. I don't think Pat Flynn does.
Yeah, no.
Who authored it? But I'm saying from what you can see on Amazon, that you can have something that can connect to a type of tripod or switch pod, and then you and then because see, I like it because I was sturdy. Then I can, since I don't have the second monitor working, then it's easier for me, because my guests don't see the second monitor. It's a no-brainer then. Put the switch pod with the webcam there, and then adjust the arm, and then that addresses my issue from a camera presentation.
I will say this. I mean, the way I would probably do it is I would have two different setups. I would have one that is, and by the way, to the point that I got a couple of good points here, actually. So NLTMW says be careful, gravity always wins. Absolutely true on that.
That's true.
And then let me see what else. Oh, and Michael says like you can always use a mic stand like musicians. Yep, that's another one as well.
Okay.
They have it goes on. It goes so it's a heavy bass, and then like for example, it's just like one big arm that you can put. Like people might use it to hold sheet music or something like that, right? That might be one option. So you have the bass, and then maybe you just have to find the right threading to go with the other pieces. Now, to your point about like, and this is what I do. I would say have a couple of different setups. So for example, if I'm going to be mobile, I'm going to use the first one you mentioned, you know, the one that's like for the like not the selfie stick, but like where I can put it as a tripod, a little mini tripod. Now, but if I'm going to be in my home studio, for example, that's where I'm going to want to have something a little different. Like I'm going to have something like the, you know, the music stand, for example, put that in the room, or get the one that has the telescoping arm, for example. So I'm going to have something like that. And for the most part, the only things that really change, you just have to put a bunch of threadings on top of it. So for example, for my mic stand that I'm using right now, it's a mic stand. So it will attach, you know, it'll attach like the mic directly to it. But then if I want to use a camera on it, okay, I added another piece to it. I added like a couple of mounts to it to build it up and to get the right thing to make sure that it fit. For the most part, most of the threadings are the same. So yeah, not a whole lot really to have to worry about there. Let me see what else is here. And there's a few, you know, I'm going to put a link here to the Archon mount one.
Okay. Perfect. Appreciate it.
Like I said,
today is Amazon Day, so I got to look at the terms of the projected budget, what I'm gonna spend, and then okay. So
yeah, I think everybody should come here before they purchase on Amazon.
No, I mean, and I like the way. Tip. Exactly. I mean, I like the way, Kristen, you're able to pivot, because I know for the most part when someone looks at your thumbnail, you're talking about live stream reviews and just live stream. And, you know, to be able to say, hey, look, let me pivot. And if this is going to help 10x their live stream more from, you know, because I've been looking at working with this webcam. I'm like, how come I can't get myself to move forward?
Yeah.
Unlike my guests, they're just nice and good. No one's complaining. I'm like, I'm the one far back. And I'm like, this got to be a better way of doing this.
Yeah.
The key point that I also want to tell people real quick, you know, so Amazon Day, for example, for NL BMW, I think that's when you're making your daily Amazon purchases, right, Walter? On the flip side of that, I mean, the key thing about equipment is knowing what you're trying to accomplish. Yes. So for example, if I bought a camera, like I bought a camera, so I need to make sure that, you know, like for example, if I bought a mirrorless DSLR, I also had to make sure I bought the right accessories to go with it. And it wasn't because I needed all of it. Like, sorry, it wasn't because I wanted all of it. I needed a lot of it. So for example, if I want to use this DSLR and it has a 2-hour battery, and here we are streaming for 2 hours and 30 minutes, I don't have time to get up and change. So they have something called a dummy battery, you know? So for example, when I bought the camera, I had to make sure I bought the lens, the right lens. In this case, I got to go get another one, and I got the dummy battery. So that way it's plugged in, and then it's able to be powered off of USB, basically, is what I'm getting at. So that way I'm able to constantly have power to power the camera. Now, the other thing I need to think about is setup, you know, and setup. There's a lot of things that, you know, come into play for setup. So for example, in this case, I needed to, like, I have some monitors set up, and I was like, well, hey, I need to also put, you know, something like I could put this camera on a ring light, but the problem is that it doesn't get it close to me. So I have to look at my setup and say, okay, do I need to buy that telescoping arm? And remember, it can perform multiple functions. So it can do top down and shoot just me. So if I'm doing that kind of video, then it's a no brainer. But if it's just going to be me on camera, maybe it's just a matter of buying, you know, a tabletop display. You get more flexibility is what I'm getting at. Sure. So you kind of have to think about what you're going to use and whether this is going to be something you're taking down all the time and whatnot. If it's something that you're going to be taking apart for your live streams, you know, you're going to do the live stream and then you're going to go and, you know, move everything or put it away and then come back, then you want something that is portable, that's easy to just move around versus right now, if I want to move stuff, I've got to, you know, if I want to move my mic, I got to undo the arm. I've got to now remove my stand that I have my camera on. I've got a monitor set up. Like I got a lot of stuff on my desk.
Okay.
So that's something you're going to have to just kind of keep in mind. So that's why I'm always suggesting having a couple of different types of systems for your live stream. So if you're going to be a mobile live streamer, then you want something that's mobile, and that's where like you're not going to be able to get as much heft. Does this make sense? So like, for example, I could have a nice little tripod for like the mic. Now the question is, okay, does that get enough to where it's it's picking up my me speaking, and then I'm going to need something for a camera. Versus there's setups where like, hey, there's one stand that people buy, and it's a pole, and they can put like the camera here and the arm here, and it can do all that stuff, but it's not portable. So you kind of have to look at the trade-offs. So
good point. And everything everything is right now for me is just maybe the same for Letitia. Everything is just kind of stationary in one part of the house. But when you're talking about going mobile, traveling somewhere, that's something we have to kind of think of in terms as live streamers.
Yeah.
Especially when you developed a tribe of consistent people to watch you every Saturday at 12 o'clock. And you're like, okay, I'm traveling out here in Iowa, and I'm not going to do the show, and that, having a change of scenery, that may just add more, appeal, where people maybe, wow, this person is up here in the mountains live streaming.
Yeah. And the sound quality has to be the same. So for example, I'm planning an event in the summer. So I have to think about how the sound's going to work out, because I will have to bring everything over to the event. So it's like, I got to get another set of equipment for certain things. And if I have guests, we have to get a switcher so we can have multiple cameras. So it's a lot. But
it's something you really gotta like look at it and see what works and what doesn't work for you, and have different setups. I mean, like when I was traveling, for example, I was using I have a Rodecaster, and I was using that a lot. But the thing is, it's portable, but it's not really portable in the sense that I can't throw it in a backpack.
Okay.
And so like, kind of like you have your mixer, I think, in the background there, like that's going to be a stationary object for the most part. And if I want to travel, I can, but it's cumbersome. However, for example, I have a portable mixer, and it's about this big. I don't have it here in front of me, but it's about that big. And the great thing about that is I can throw that in a backpack, but it also was an expensive purchase because I had to shrink everything down. So I had like I said, I have a mobile setup and I have a desktop setup. And I try to get something like, I don't have two of these mics, for example, this Shure SM7B, but I do try to get something that is portable. It's going to allow me to have good sound quality and still be portable for the times that I do want to go live when I'm remote.
Okay.
So
I love this.
No, this is great. This is great. Go ahead.
So we got 20-some people tuned in. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Letitia. We're gonna pick we're gonna have you do a giveaway here.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I can be a part of a giveaway. Hey, go ahead.
Today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna give away a StreamYard pillow.
Yay!
I love StreamYard. If you put that in the comments, we'll have Letitia randomly pick a winner, and then you're gonna have to just message me, and then I'll make sure I get that out to you. By the way, if I can't remember who last week's winner was, but if you're still on, just message me and let me know if I want to make sure I get your information.
Yeah.
So hashtag love StreamYard. And then there's a quick question here, real quick, from who we got here. This is from Andrea Roberts. How do I stream a paid event to Facebook and only allow the paid participants to view? Okay, so paid event to Facebook. So I would consider, well, first off, you may want to look into Hopin. Hopin.com. So for virtual events, that's a very good way. It's actually it's a company that we were just acquired by a couple of weeks ago, but that would be one option. Hopin.com. And then as far as what you're looking to do now, so let me make sure it's Hopin.com actually. There you go. So check out that. And then as far as allowing paid participants to view, so let's see. So a lot of people, what they'll do is, paid event to Facebook and only allow the participants to view. Okay, so is this on a Facebook page or a Facebook group? If it's a Facebook page, I mean, for the most part, those are public. So you can't really make a page private, because if you make it private, it's actually not then visible to anyone on Facebook.
Correct.
If it's to a group, I mean, if it's to a group, a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll put it in a YouTube. They'll put it in a Facebook group. And then what they'll do off of that, let me go back to this, by the way, they'll put it in like a YouTube group. So you're going to do it through a page. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know that. I don't know if that's even possible. Everything I've been looking into, Kristen, is probably a group.
Right. A group's probably going to be the best way. You know, going to a page, like anyone can join that. You can set up on a Facebook page. There's the ability to set up an event. So that might be like one way to try it, but it's hard because it's then public. So do you have any tips, Letitia, maybe on that one?
Yeah, whenever I do a live event, I do sell live streaming tickets. So what I do is I set up a Facebook group and I stream the event in the group. That's the simplest way to do it. And I've been doing it that way for years, and it works perfectly because when somebody purchased a live stream ticket, then we send them the URL to the group in their email confirmation after they purchased their ticket, and then they join the group. My VA, she's like the door woman, and she goes and checks to see if they pay through PayPal, Stripe, or whatever, and then she'll add them to the group. I mean, that's the easiest, most streamlined way. And then if you're going to do upsells and all that stuff, everybody's in the group. So you don't have to, find anybody to say, hey, did you check out my offer that I did on my event? So I've been doing it that way for years. I'm talking about eons.
Yeah.
And it's just easy. Yeah. I have a winner.
So that's probably what I would do right now. I mean, just again, the paid group is the easiest way. You can also go in and do, like, in a Facebook page, you can set up an event and stream to an event. But I mean, that maybe try that one as well, possibly. I'm not sure if you want to go that route. Feel free to PM me if you have other questions. We can kind of walk through the situation. But that would be really good. So, Letitia, do you have a winner for us?
I do. And through my spinner, it said NLTMW.
Okay, we're gonna have to. Okay, so NLTMW, I'm not sure if NLTMW, did they win last week? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I'm sorry. I think he did win before. I have a second placer. I think he did win before. So NLT, I think he did win on the other one.
Okay, so NLTMW, if you won last week, let's give this one to someone else.
Okay, the next person is USA Livestream.
Awesome, perfect. So USA Livestream. Okay, so do me a favor. I'm going to have both NLTMW and USA and Livestream. Do me a favor and send me a message.
Yes.
Send me a private message with your details. Like, I just want to get your name, your address, all that sort of stuff. Just send me a private message and we'll get that taken care of. And we'll get that out to you.
Awesome.
Okay, so with that, let me see. We got one more question here. Let me check this.
Yeah, I see a question came in. Yeah.
One other question. Let's see, real quick. So, what's the best way to have a Zoom gallery imported into StreamYard and also have the StreamYard broadcast to Zoom? Very tricky. I mean, I'll be honest. I wouldn't use both. I don't really see the purpose.
Me either.
No.
So, if it were me, I would try to just use one product. So, like, if you have a specific like why would you use the other product?
I see why people do that because you can create like a registration page in Zoom. So I get that part of it, but
what about breakout rooms? Let's say if you're going to be doing and you're going to put people in multiple rooms and then eventually bring them back to the main room, which is where the live stream is going through StreamYards. For example, like that, because particularly when I use Zoom on the weekends for our church, right now, because we're not meeting, we have Sunday school classes. So I'm responsible for creating all the Sunday school classes in the breakout rooms. You still have your main room as the main thing as everyone comes on. So I have one class in the main room. So maybe I'm going to broadcast now the service through StreamYard, but we're still on Zoom. And that sounds like that's a whole lot of work just based on your reaction.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to use you'd probably have to use OBS to bring it into StreamYard.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's the key thing with that. I mean, because that would allow you to do basically doing a virtual camera. So you'd be able to, it would link out to OBS and have it connected different ways. So, but again, I mean, it comes down to what they're trying to do. Let me just look a little.
Yeah, I mean, it's for the purpose of having guests. Like, you can have up to 10 people on one screen in StreamYard.
Right, on screen, yeah.
12,
and you have to look at the experience. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
sure.
because sometimes people will they'll have too many the experience is key. Because if somebody comes on and it's not very good, then why it's hard for people to follow that. So
okay.
Well, yeah. Up north, by the way, up north of 60. Thanks a lot also for the suggestion about remote camera and option. The remote person could be delegated the ability to allow people to join control camera and mod comments. Thanks for that suggestion. Right now, what I would do for that is I would send the person the link and then have a producer or have multiple producers logged into your StreamYard dashboard to be able to control that sort of stuff. So I get what you're saying. So, but you can sort of do that right now if you send the link to people and they can then join. For example, Letitia and I, as long as we're on the same script and we know what's happening when, that's why you should have a run of show. That's something that we could theoretically do. Knowing, for example, she could be just responsible for the camera pieces and I could be responsible for some other part.
Right. That makes sense.
Okay.
Awesome. And then we'll also make them note Zane said about having the ability some additional payment options. We'll make sure we also make a note of that as well. But that's gonna do it. I don't have any other questions. Anything else, Walter?
I just wanted to ask Letitia one question on the follow up with the Facebook group. So once a person joins your event and they then pay through PayPal or even through Cash App or
Eventbrite,
Zenbrite or Giblify, then once the event is over, they're still part of the Facebook group. It's not.
Yeah, they're still part of it. Yeah, you can keep them in there for as long as you want. Like I do a success tour and I still have that Facebook group. So when I do another tour, if they want to buy a ticket, they can for the next event.
And you're using that primarily Facebook group for event purposes, not
only
something
event.
So you're not using it as something for tutorial or training for individuals that follow, you in terms of, what you offer. So that's
I upsell in that group. Like if I have a package, since they already a paid traffic because they paid for something and they're in there, I do offer other things, Yeah. And they'll get a special discount because they purchased one event. So if I do another one, they'll get a couple of percentage off and they still can remain in the group.
But online, let's say if you're providing online coaching to individuals, so you would just have a separate Facebook group for online coaching.
Yes, for clients. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was trying to get clarification.
Yeah, you want to separate it. Yeah, it's much easier that way.
Okay. Perfect. All right.
Yep.
This has been good.
Just a couple of quick notes, by the way. So, Walter, I want to thank you again for coming on, asking some great questions. Very, very, very useful information for viewers. Just a couple of quick reminders. So I'm going to go and remove you here. I'm going to wrap things up. Okay.
Okay.
So thanks a lot for joining us. I appreciate it. So just with that, just a couple of quick points here. So we're going to be doing the same show next Saturday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, youtube.com/StreamYard. Or if you happen to be in our Facebook group as well, we have a Facebook group. And let me actually pull that up. So we're either going to be on YouTube or we also have on Facebook a Facebook group as well. So you can go to facebook.com/groups/StreamYard community. You can join us there. We're also on youtube.com/StreamYard as well. But I want to thank everyone for joining and for tuning in. Again, this show is all about you. So I want you to bring your questions. So again, this is something that we talked about earlier, doing something and then refining it and refining it and refining it. So for example, we're doing this show. I want you to come on, ask the questions, and if they're feature requests, hey, we'll put those in the right bucket. Or if they're show questions hey, I want to learn, how do I optimize my show for YouTube Live, for example? Or, hey, we talked about this earlier. How do I name my show or how to come up with a name? I want you to come on, tell us, this is my show, this is my name. And hey, this is what I struggle with. Or, hey, how do I light my screen properly? Or have, a camera question, how do I set this up? Or what kind of earphones do I use? Or in-ear monitors? Or hey, how do I market my show? Or, how do I generate revenue and monetize it? So we want to answer all those questions. But do us a favor, subscribe, and we will see you all next Saturday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Letitia, before we
what's important is that none of us are pros at this. It's always something new you can learn about live streaming, and it's just no question is silly. So always feel free to hop on and ask your questions. And we're a community. We're all here to. I learned so much, even though I'm the co-host. I learned so much from this. So always know that, guys, that we so appreciate you guys hopping on, asking questions, even answering questions in the chat. We're a community. We're a community, and I love it. Yes.
Awesome. So with that, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you all next Saturday. Bye, everyone.